his job at Old Trafford. That's despite United celebrating a surprise FA Cup win. Alejandro Garnacho and Kobe Mainoo both on target in the 2-1 win against City.
Played towards the edge of the penalty area. This time it is two. It's Kobe Mainoo. United fans in dreamland.
Well, despite rumours about his future, Ten Hag is remaining upbeat.
I'm very pleased with the team, with the resilience of the team, with the determination and with the belief we knew when they are fit and then we can play in very high levels.
Pep disappointed today but proud of the season.
The season has been unbelievable. Where we come from win the Premier League again and fight the way we lose today, the way we lose against Madrid. So refresh the mind and come back next season.
So United qualify for the Europa League. Chelsea drop down into the Conference and Newcastle now miss out on Europe altogether. Adam Ida scored the 90th minute winner as Celtic completed the double with victory over Rangers in the Scottish Cup final. What a way for Celtic keeper Joe Hart to head into retirement.
I just feel happy that we've won. Obviously, I know it's an end of a career kind of thing. Honestly, my focus was on this game. It was a special feeling.
Burnley manager Vincent Kompany will take charge at Bayern Munich. Compensation of around 10 million has been agreed. Wayne Rooney is confirmed as the new boss at Championship Plymouth just 4 months after being sacked by Birmingham. Barcelona have retained their Women's Champions League title with a 2-0 victory over Lyon. England began preparations for the T20 World Cup with a 23-run victory over Pakistan. Toulouse won Rugby's Champions Cup with an extra-time victory against Leinster. And Ferrari's Charles Leclerc will start tomorrow's Monaco Grand Prix from pole. There's more at talkSPORT.com.
talkSPORT News.
The Royal Air Force has confirmed a pilot has died after a Spitfire crashed in Lincolnshire. PGA Tour golfer Grayson Murray has died at the age of 30. And Nicki Minaj has been arrested at Amsterdam Airport, accused of drug possession.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With over 600 centres across the UK, most of which open 7 days a week, we're always there when you need us. QuickFit. Drive away happy every time.
A cloudy start on Sunday with some rain, sunny spells and showers in the afternoon, many of them heavy.
Online, DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Get in the ring and go the distance with Fight Night.
The fight starts now.
With Adam Catterall.
I don't think he's going to get up.
On talkSPORT, the home of boxing.
That's right, I'm back again. After the escapades of the FA Cup final a little earlier on today, we're back in our rightful slot to bring you Fight Night on a Saturday evening. I'm Adam Catterall. It's a pleasure to be in your company. Alongside me, Spencer Oliver and George Groves this evening because it's an action-packed show. That's right. We are going to be keeping an eye on everything that's happening in Leeds, especially in that main event between Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall. Part 2, they are running it back 2 and a bit years on after the controversial victory for Josh Taylor. They are trying to put it all to bed. Fingers crossed, no controversy tonight. We just get a rightful winner and a great fight and a wonderful advertisement for British boxing. More on that throughout the course of the show. Moses Itauma is going to join us. He's going to be in the studio talking about his rise in the heavyweight division. We're also going to be delving into the world of mixed martial arts, speaking to Kaz Crosley, who was in Paris last week talking all things PFL. Lawrence Okolie is going to be here after his victory last night. And, of course, all the fallout from last weekend's undisputed heavyweight title fight on the show. If you want to get involved, you can. 03717 22 3344. That's the telephone number. You're more than welcome to contribute to the programme. Get stuck in. Saturday night, bit of fun, watching the fighting and listening to us talk about it. Get stuck in. It's talkSPORT. Spencer, welcome, my man. How are you?
Very well, my friend. Very well. Just back off the plane from Poland. Great night out there. Great victory, actually, for Lawrence Okolie. Two-weight world champion.
I like the way you started that then. You went out to watch a fight, but you started the conversation by saying, it's a great night out.
I said, no, it was a great night out there.
Oh, right. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. And it is a great night out.
You had a good time.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Good performance from Lawrence last night. We'll obviously speak to him very, very shortly. Important that he got the train back on the tracks given the defeat to Chris Billam-Smith.
Yeah, listen, it was all about what Joe Gallagher was implementing into his style and trying to change that psychological damage that had been done to him. And that really had been done before Chris Billam-Smith, which I found out from Lawrence Okolie. He said he was struggling with the weight so much that was taking a lot of the confidence away because the punch resistance was going. It was the obvious move up. He wanted to go into bridgerweight before ultimately stepping up into that heavyweight division. But, we can get into all of that.
Absolutely. Joining us tonight, the one, the only, George Groves. How are you, buddy? You good?
I'm good. It's great to be here.
Listen, I spent a lot of my week this week watching your podcast, mate. It's fantastic. Well, listen, it's fantastic anyway, but the amount of people that have contacted me this week in particular, with it being Taylor Catterall, because of your guest this week, you had Ian John Lewis on the show, didn't you? Yourself and Declan. Just the amount of people that got in contact with me who were fascinated with the take of that particular fight, and obviously with it building up to what we're expecting this weekend. Everybody's invested in this tonight, aren't they? Given the fact of the controversy from the first fight.
Yeah, well, there was controversy, wasn't there, with that first fight? A lot of people thought Catterall had won, and they thought that he had executed his game plan spot on and deserved to be like the greatest honour in boxing, the undisputed champion in his weight division, have all the belts. And he was denied that, and he's suffered for it since. And the best he's really got so far is what he's going to get tonight, is to try and right that wrong and get a rematch. Or he got the rematch and get the win over Josh Taylor. But to talk to Ian John Lewis, and just to pick the brain of a BBBFC official, how do you score a fight? How do you come to this conclusion? And some things, like, to me, not in his defence, but I was like, okay, that's interesting. He writes down a score at the end of the round and it gets taken away. Yeah. So he's not looking at a piece of paper going, oh, this looks a bit one-sided or a bit. But then other stuff is like alarm bells and a slap in the face when he says, he speaks so highly of Josh Taylor, undefeated, unified champion, and Catterall never heard of him. And then I'm sitting there going, oh, this sounds like when I boxed Frotch, and everyone was saying you got no chance. And I look at the scorecards at the end of that first fight, and I'm only a round up on like one or two of them. I'm thinking, wow, without that knockdown, this is a 50-50 fight. So it's fascinating. It's a fantastic listen, fascinating listen, and I encourage any boxing fan to go and have a little bit of a nosy in on that. The conversation between George Declan on George's Boxing Club podcast with Ian John Lewis, absolutely fascinating. Go and check it out. We're going to come back and revisit that tonight, because obviously these boys are going to be in the ring very, very shortly. Currently in Leeds, Paddy Donovan and Lewis Ritson are going at it. We'll keep you across that as well. We've got a co-main event involving Siobhan Clark. British title fight, looking forward to that. He's taking on Ellis Zorro, and then we'll get stuck into the main event from Leeds as Jack Catterall and Josh Taylor go at it for a second time. First though, let's start with last week, gentlemen, because we'd waited the best part of 30 years. Everybody was 20 odd years. We were all excited about the undisputed heavyweight championship fight, and it absolutely delivered. Two of the best guys on the planet in the big weight division. Alexander Usyk comes out on top, obviously, as the undisputed champion. I think everybody would agree with that to the majority. But as a fight, captivating from start to finish.
Absolutely. Listen, I think that it exceeded anybody's expectations, if I'm totally honest. I think that the talk from most boxing people, boxing experts, were that actually this was going to be a little bit of a chess match. Fight might not get going until sixth round, and it might not get going at all. It was just one of those ones. You've got to be a boxing purist. You're going to appreciate the art of boxing and what these two are doing in there, because they've got great boxing IQs. But no one expected the start from Alexander Usyk. He was the hunter, which was surprise fury as well. And I thought it was a fantastic spectacle. I mean, where was you at with that, George?
Yeah, it was great. It's a fight to be excited about. You're thinking, I thought, Usyk can't get old overnight. He is older than Fury, but he hasn't put a foot wrong since he's gone up to heavyweight, and he has just seemed to have got better and better, in my opinion. Fury, you're thinking, on the scales, he looks in much better shape. Mm-hmm. He looks like he's switched on. He looks like he's here to perform. And with Fury, you never knew quite what to expect with him in terms of how he was going to perform, but you can envision how you think he can win, right? And the spell where he has a lot of success in that fight, from maybe the end of the fourth through to the seventh, is ultimately how he could have won that fight. But Usyk, to his credit, is just a class act. Put his foot on the gas from the get-go, made it super uncomfortable for Fury, made him fight out of his skin at a pace that he's not comfortable with. And then, obviously from that ninth round where Fury was almost lucky, really, to be honest, to survive the round, survive the fight. Just a magnificent performance from Usyk.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're hearing, according to legendary boxing promoter Bob Arum, who joined Drive yesterday, that Fury has activated his rematch clause. This is what he had to say to the guys on talkSPORT yesterday.
There's a rematch clause, and Tyson has exercised the rematch clause, and that fight will take place sometime either at the end of this year or the beginning of next year, and it will take place again in Riyadh. That's the contract that both fighters have signed. So it was such a great fight, and it's such a controversial fight. A lot of people thought that Tyson pulled it out. Some people felt that Usyk deserved the win that he got. So let's see what happens in the rematch. I would love to see Tyson, who I believe will win the rematch, fight Fury sometime next year in Wembley Stadium. That would be a massive, massive fight as well.
The thoughts of Bob Arum speaking to Andy on Drive on Friday afternoon. Listen, I think the majority of people would have expected Tyson Fury to want to go again, because for me, I don't know where you're at, George. You and Spencer, you've both been in these situations. This is, for me, where greatness is kind of identified. Anybody can be anything when they're winning. You find out who you really are when it's not necessarily going your way. When you do get a defeat, when it's a close one and it doesn't go your way, and maybe you feel a bit disgruntled. All the greats have lost. How they bounce back is what defines us going forward. And I kind of expected that attitude from Fury, that he would want to go again. It's great as a boxing fan to hear that he wants to go again and he wants to try and get this one back. Absolutely music to everybody's ears.
Yeah, I think so. And there's enough in the fight that it's worthy of a rematch. If it was one-sided,
yeah, I agree.
You're like, well, because when these fights are signed and there's a rematch clause already attached, and it's almost like a safety blanket that you don't. Doesn't matter if it sounds bizarre, but it is nice to know, I suppose, if you lose, you get to roll the dice and get another chance to fight for a world title. But the fight lived up to expectations, and it was competitive. I had Usyk not clearly winning, but I had him by a good few rounds. But it ended up being a split decision, so they go again. And I'm not surprised. I think it would, if Tyson Fury was debating whether he was going to do this or not behind closed doors, it's still better to go publicly with the, let's do the rematch now. And it shows, shows confidence. It shows champion mindset that he's going to need, certainly. And we look forward to it.
Yeah, I think you're right in what you say. It defines greatness, doesn't it? Because I think that if Tyson Fury can now go and right the wrongs of that last fight, and I'm with George, by the way, I had it like 116, 112, I think it was. I had Alexander Usyk a conclusive winner. I thought that it was a fight that Usyk won. For me, really, the first 4 rounds, you could argue one of those went to Tyson Fury. Fury come back after 8 rounds. I had it all level, but from that 9th round, which was a 10-8 round, I had Usyk running away with it. So I thought it was quite conclusive, and I think it just showed the adaptability that both fighters are. They've both got great boxing IQs, and I think they were both working each other out and changing the game, and that's why it becomes such a competitive, great fight. But for Tyson Fury, you go, where does he go? The biggest fight still for him is Anthony Joshua. He could have chose to go down that route, go maybe Wembley Stadium, Anthony Joshua, where he's coming off a credible defeat because it was a competitive fight and a good fight.
Yeah.
But you go, if he loses again to Usyk, then does that take away from Joshua? And Joshua goes down a different avenue, the winner of the IBF fight that's happening with Daniel Dubois and Filip Hrgovic. So you go, that fight may be further away than ever. So there's so many moving parts. It's so interesting at the moment. But I respect Fury chasing greatness and going, you know what? I need to go and right the wrongs of that. I need to go and show that, I am a modern day great. I want to go down in the history books. And for him to achieve that, that's where he needs to go. And I was worried that he wasn't going to do that, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's like what George said a moment or two ago. There's enough in the fight to warrant the rematch. There's definitely high points there for Tyson Fury. If we compare it, for example, to another undisputed fight where Terence Crawford fights Errol Spence, right? Terence Crawford schools Errol Spence in that fight. And there's a rematch clause, and I think the majority of us go, do we need to see it again? Because Crawford's absolutely outstanding. I think there's enough in this fight for us to think there is a path to victory. If you do more of that or you do more of this, there's an opportunity there to overturn it. Plus, I think every single one of us wants to find out what Fury looks like bouncing back from a defeat. We've not seen it before. I want to see it. I want to see him approach a fight off the back of a defeat. And can you rise like all the greats have done in the past? And if he does rise, then the conversation changes once again. Right now, the best guy of this era is Alexander Usyk. I think all of us would conclude that. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the year, that might not necessarily be the case if Tyson Fury can flip this on its head.
Yeah. Listen, when you've got modern eras and you've got fights and there is competitive fights now in that heavyweight division, and we've got a good young crop of fighters coming through. Yeah, you look at it and you go, well, they all have to box each other. The best do box the best, and you do get different outcomes. And sometimes, Alexander Usyk, as you say at the moment, is his standout heavyweight because he's beaten both of them. Mm-hmm. Fury has to go and right that wrong if he wants to go down as, one of the greatest.
But I wonder who he's listening to, Fury. Because, I mean, just listen, when you're watching the fight, there's 3 voices in that corner.
Yeah.
And they're all speaking louder than one another. So is this Tyson Fury's choice, or is there people around him who, is it Spencer Brown who takes care of him now? Is it the trainer? Is it the coach? Is it the dad? Is it family? Is it friends who have said, let's do this? Or is it him sitting down and computing what he wants to do? Mm-hmm. Because there are options. He could go, if he doesn't want to go for Usyk, then maybe the Joshua fight's there. It doesn't need to be about money, but that's about prestige. That might be about putting that to bed for him. But maybe after watching both guys fighting Ngannou and seeing the difference in the result and the way that the fight's panned out and listening to people. I think Fury's one of them people, he can't help it as a fighter. He listens to the masses. He listens to the people. And when they're all chanting for him, when they're all cheering for him and he's the people's champion, he beats his chest, he thrives in it. But when they're not, and when there's a little bit of doubt and it creeps in, he struggles.
You made a great point there about the 3 voices in the corner, and as you know, George, as I do, as a boxer, you want it calm. You want one voice talking to you, especially when you're in a fight of that magnitude with what was on the line, and small crises happen, like that 9th round where you go, very fortunate he got through that one. You go, right, you need a calm voice, to pull you back into it, give you the right information. You get words coming from everywhere, confusing you even more. It's an interesting conversation, because you go, if that's a big part of them sitting down around the table and saying, right, what do we do to win this fight? How do we make it happen? Yes, you've got the physicalities. You showed in the middle of that fight. You've got the adaptability and the capabilities of beating Alexander Usyk. You turned it around massively in the middle of that fight. How do we continue that till the end? You go, right, that's the first thing that would come up. You go, well, I want you lot to shut up for one. I want to hear instructions from my head coach, and that's where it is. And maybe that might be a big part of, and a big changing part of the rematch. Yeah. Because there is things that need fixing. Yeah. And that may determine the outcome of a contest.
One thing, just to finish on this whole conversation, Alexander Usyk, some guy, yeah.
Great.
Some guy.
Great.
Phenomenal fighter, and he just seems like a phenomenal bloke.
You can't go undisputed cruiserweight champion, jump up undisputed heavyweight champion, and not go down in the history books as one of the greatest. As we stand, he's beat the man that's beat the man. So
he's the guy.
He's the guy.
Absolutely. Little update from Leeds. Paddy Donovan and Lewis Ritson are going at it, and every time I look up, Paddy Donovan, for a large percentage of this, was looking relatively good. And then I saw him on the deck. It was waved as a non-knockdown, but I've looked at that on the replay, and I actually think it is a knockdown. I think he is clipped on the way coming out of that corner, and it should have encountered that.
Yep, he was fortunate there. I thought he was fortunate. I think that he was fortunate that he got away with it. He's come back well here, and Ritson was under heavy pressure at the end of that round as well. Good fight, this one. Competitive fight. And for Paddy Donovan, George would tell you, George, these are your sort of like coming-of-age fights, right? You go Lewis Ritson, old school experience, and on his day still, he'll make you work and he'll push you. He's been a good fighter over the years, but for Paddy Donovan, the kid that everyone's talking about, sort of coming-of-age fight for him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to give away any free shots. You only want to have an off round with a guy like Lewis Ritson, because he will just use his experience and try and change it in his favour. I had a look at that knockdown. I mean, he doesn't look hurt at all, Paddy Donovan. So you're wondering, did he just slip or get caught off balance? But he does get hit on the way down. So he was fortunate in that regard to not be scored a knockdown. And you never know what your opponent's thinking. Even if they get a dubious knockdown, it spurs them on. They think, right, I'm going to jump on him now. I'm going to get him.
We'll keep you across that one. And then, of course, the main event is Taylor Catterall Part 2. We'll get stuck into that a little later on in the show. We're going to welcome a heavyweight into the studio in a moment or two. Moses Itauma is in the building, and he's going to come and join us. Don't go anywhere.
Sunday afternoon, the Championship Playoff Final live on talkSPORT.
High intensity, expressive football.
Have we got something special for you?
Leeds United versus Southampton.
Coverage from 1:30, kick-off 3 p.m. Sunday afternoon on talkSPORT.
It's a sensational goal!
Football, we're now taken out.
Oh, look at that! What a shot! What a combination. Oh, the body isn't working anymore. They'll wave it off. Moses Itauma makes it look so easy.
Therefore, your winner by way of technical knockout, still undefeated, and now the WBO Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, Moses Itauma.
I could have got him out earlier, but I wanted to like maybe take him out third or fourth round, but obviously the ref had his decision and I just got to go by it.
You listen to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Spencer Oliver, George Groves alongside me this evening, keeping you up to date with everything that is Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall. Right now, though, let's turn our attention back a week and looking a hell of a lot forward as well. We're talking heavyweights a moment or two ago. Obviously, the top of the tree, the undisputed heavyweight championship last week between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury. And one man that we envisage at some point, not too far down the line, will be challenging for some of those big trinkets in this division. It is Moses Itauma, who very kindly has given up a bit of time on a Saturday evening to come and join us in the studio. How are you, mate? You good?
I'm all good, thank you. I like the introduction.
Listen,
I like it. It's good.
Listen, I think everybody will be on that page. Obviously, it's still relatively young in age and young in professional career. 9 fights now, 7 knockouts. How are you finding the move from the amateur game into the pro game? You seem to have taken to it like a duck to water. Is it as easy as it's looking on the eye for the fans?
Yeah, it is, because it's like, obviously I've boxed on the world stage as an amateur, so like doing it as a professional, it's not much different. It's just, I guess, you're a bit more vulnerable as a professional, because obviously you don't wear a vest, your gloves are smaller, you ain't got a head guard, and etc. etc. But I don't know, I like it.
Why did you make the decision, for people listening at home, to turn pro at your young age? Because we see heavyweights take a little bit more time in the amateurs, maybe go through an Olympic cycle, all those types of things before they come into the pro game.
So if I'll be honest with you, it's just the money. It's the money, man.
Listen, I like the honesty, man.
I could sit and obviously lie about things, but I guess me and my family need the money, so I guess that's why I turned pro.
And obviously you've taken to it like a duck to water. How are you enjoying the work that you're getting in the gym with Ben and the gang at the moment in there?
No, it's good. We're working with Ben and Lee Wiley. It's been a mad. It just came round weird, because obviously I always went down the gym for sparring. Yeah. And then I never really imagined myself being at that gym. And obviously when I left my old trainer last year, I was just trying out a few trainings, because obviously I was like, if I want to move somewhere, I want to make sure that I'm going to stay there for X amount of years at least. And I just went around trying a few trainers, and then Ben Davison was the last on my list, and then it kind of wowed me, him and what Lee Wiley does. And
are you a man that likes the analytics, the facts, the figures, the numbers, the breakdown on the television screen and all those types of things? Because that's what Lee's absolutely sensational at, being able to break those types of things down.
You need a bit of both.
Okay.
You need a bit of both. There's obviously some things that, like Al Smith, he said that some things you just have to find out yourself. There's nothing that a computer will give you. But when I was watching the little thing that they put with AJ against Ngannou, I was like, no wonder you lot thought they was going to knock him out in round 2. I was like, this is cheating. It's like everything was already calculated, everything's already I guess it's bad habits. They pick up on bad habits, and obviously I can exploit them things, and then they don't even know that. So yeah, it's been a blessing with these lot, to be honest.
I think that's what it is with the coach, and the coach is the second eye, because you've got that natural ability to be able to adjust, and you get a sixth sense, and you see things coming, and you set traps, and you do whatever. But that second eye helps you with those little things that make a big difference. You know,
100%.
when you're at that sort of level, one of those little things you don't get right or you don't see, you make a fundamental mistake, and boom, it's curtains, lights over. That's what you heavyweights do.
100%.
I mean, your progression in the heavyweights right now is flying. You've had out of your last 5 fights, 4 first-round wins, second-round win. You've adapted to the professional ranks really, really well, and I think they're doing a great job with you on the promotional side as well.
100%.
And you're dealing with that at a young age, man. You're dealing with that pressure, because that's not an easy pressure to have on your shoulders. George, you know that yourself.
No, absolutely. It's tough. And then we was out back and you was explaining, Spencer, how you got to answer the same question time and time again and put a tiny bit different spin on it.
Yeah.
It's not easy, especially in this social media age where, you can blow up overnight and then you're expected to be on par with that. And people are already talking about you being a future star. So there's pressure on you as a heavyweight to get a move on, but also to get matched right. And then the pressure is the stuff that we don't see. So you've changed trainer, for example, and you've decided, right, Ben Davison. And it's hard to change trainer and make a commitment, and that's in the public eye now. So you might be teaching Ben some stuff. You got when it comes to like fighters and trainers, there has to be that chemistry because ultimately you're operating at a higher level than your trainer ever could or would or should or many instances. But then they see something from a coaching brain that you don't see. You don't think that way, so they nudge you along in the right direction.
A lot of it with a boxer and a trainer relationship and that chemistry that you got to have, like a father-son relationship, really, in many senses, because you're putting your life in this guy's hands to take control of it. Tell you what to do. You go out there and you've got to get it right. So there's a lot on the trainer's shoulders as well. George is right in what he says there. Though you're putting so much trust in that guy, but you've got to have that chemistry, and it's like even if then. You've got the belief in your trainer and he's telling you to go out there. If you go out there and implement that, your natural talent will get you through that fight or whatever. But if you've got that self-belief, that's a huge thing, man. That people don't understand how important that relationship between boxer and trainer is.
100%. I feel like if you go into a fight, and you're very, very 50-50, like skill-wise, power, speed, heart, anything, I think it's a good trainer that makes you win that fight. Because obviously, like, if you're being matched by your opponent, and your trainer tells you to switch it up, then that can win or lose you a fight. Do you get what I mean? There's been many instances where a fight's gone 50-50 and the trainer's told the fighter to step on the gas and then you haven't blown him out and then ends up getting knocked out down the line or just many instances like that. So I feel like, definitely you got to put a lot of trust in your trainer and you just, I don't know, you can't really have fools around you.
It's a solo sport, of course. But iron does sharpen iron. You're in that gym. Obviously, we know that Anthony Joshua's in that gym. You've got some fantastic guys in there. Obviously, in lower weight divisions, you've got Lee Wood and what have you. What's it like working on a day-by-day basis with the McCormack boys? I bet you that's a handful, innit? You know what I mean? I bet they keep you on your toes.
I don't really see him as much. Like, with my time slot, we don't really cross over like that. What I mainly see is like Anthony Joshua before me. Obviously, I do have time to ask him a few questions about my future or like what to do outside the ring and like with money, etc. And then with the other boys like Alois and Jamie and Chris Congo, I was like, I kind of knew these boys since I was younger, so like it's mad seeing us, we're all doing well, and I'm like, how do you think about this aspect? Like even though we're both or all of us were up and coming, I'm like, how do you handle this? And maybe if he handles it better or differently than I would, then I'm very curious about these things, and obviously I'm always eager to learn.
I'm interested in that conversation that you have with AJ. Obviously, you can learn so much of him in the ring, but he's a guy that has probably faced the biggest pressures outside of the 100%. Ring than any fighter on the planet. You know what I mean? When you get to that type of superstardom and what have you, and the pressures that come along with being the unified champion, the conversations that you have now at your tender age with him are just going to hold you in unbelievable stead going forward.
No, 100%. Joe's funny though. AJ and Tyson both told me the same thing. Get yourself good lawyers and invest your money into houses. And that's what we're doing, isn't it?
Good.
Any tips? Any areas you've been looking at that's good yield?
Any up-and-coming areas?
No, to be honest, we've just been investing in just our properties around our way at the minute. Hopefully soon we can venture out.
Good, man. Listen, we're going to talk about what comes next, how quick this is going to move, your plans, dreams, ambitions in this heavyweight division. I'm going to get your thoughts as well on the British domestic scene, because there's some names there that maybe over the next 12 to 18 months, we could see you in the ring with, and I'm sure a lot of fans want to see that type of stuff. So stick with us. You're listening to Fight Night. Moses Itauma is in the studio with us. If you've got anything for him, you know where we are. Get in contact with the show and we'll get it to him.
talkSPORT Drive. Weekday afternoons from 4 on talkSPORT.
Hello, I'm Andy Goldstein. And I'm Darren Bent.
Fast and furious football talk for full-on fans.
Under the bonnet, over the top, into the back of the net.
A tower of sporting power in the afternoon.
100% nationwide coverage.
talkSPORT Drive.
Revs up weekdays from 4
with Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent. The fastest football on the way home.
We'll have a bit of that.
Moses Itauma! Inside the opening 15 seconds. It's the first time he's ever fought anybody older than 17, and he's absolutely blown away the man from the Czech Republic. The journey's begun for Moses Itauma.
I just want to keep striving for more. The sky's the limit. I'm only 19. How far can I go?
As he says, he's only 19, so how far can he go? Moses Itauma very kindly giving up a bit of time to come and join us in the studio on Fight Night here on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall, Spencer Oliver and George Groves alongside us. Listen, it's been picture perfect so far. 9 fights, 7 knockouts. How far can this man to my left-hand side go, Spencer Oliver, as you are watching his rise right now as a 19-year-old man in the heavyweight division? Where's this going?
Listen, the ability is definitely there, and you seem like talking to you off air as well, Moses. You know, you got your head screwed on. You know, you're well focused. You're getting good advice. Having a team around you, especially for the heavyweights. We've seen history of heavyweights before and getting wrong teams around them, and sort of like puts them off track and sends them down the wrong path. And you maybe not achieving the potential that you have. But I think for yourself, yeah, you seem level-headed, and you've got the technical ability and the mindset to go all the way, without a doubt. You look at the generation that is coming through, you look at your progress and your development, and you go, you're the kid that everyone's talking about. And I think that is highly important, to keep your feet on the ground, and you'll become a world champion, without a doubt.
What are your immediate hopes and dreams? Or is it a traditional route of area titles, English titles, British titles? Is that what you're thinking?
I have no idea. I was just like, me and my team, we come up with a fight, my next fight. That's the only one I'm focusing on, because if you don't win your next fight, there's no point talking about what's down the line. So I know I believe that we have like a solid gauge on who my next opponent be, and I'm focusing towards that. Like, there's no point of thinking about other stuff that's irrelevant at the minute.
So is activity then the thing in your head? Is it a case of the regularity? Let's get out. Let's try and get out at least every 3 months or something like that.
As much as possible. If I didn't have injuries, I'd love to be out every week. But it's just the fact that it's just, you need a rest from the sparring. You need a rest from the training. Even if fights don't go too long. Let's say if a fight goes 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You still trained,
of course,
8 weeks, sparring 10, 12 rounds. You get what I mean?
You need the mental switch off.
100%. 100%. And I just feel like, obviously, at the minute, I had 2 fights back to back, and I'm gonna have like a week or 2 week period where I'm got off, let me recover from my injuries, and I'll be back into should be boxing on the Joe Joyce v Derek Chisora on the card.
Fantastic. How are you enjoying, obviously, being involved in everything that's going on with the Riyadh season, Saudi Arabia, and all those types of things? Being out there and fighting on those big cards.
I love it. Just being. It's even outside of the ring. It's just like being like there's so many celebrities. Even we went to a dinner, and just like everyone was there, like all footballer legends, rappers, singers, like, do you know what I mean? The old school boxers as well.
Who's the best one?
Who's the best?
Who's the best celebrity you've met so far in Saudi?
Martin Lawrence was in us. We sat next to him in a restaurant.
That's crazy, man. One of the original bad boys. You've got to get a bit of Martin.
Do you know what you love about
outside of boxing? I don't know.
What you love about Moses is how like down to earth and how real. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is like. You may not recognise it as much as we do, but like you are the talk of town, as in the heavyweights is what people talk about. Moses and Itauma is the people that are going, yeah, this guy is going to be the youngest ever world heavyweight champion, etc. He's going to do the Mike Tyson thing. You're going to take that route. Everyone's talking about you, and you're just like a down to earth geezer. It's like, you know what I mean?
But that from your point of view, George, that's important. What Moses was just touching upon a moment or two ago. He just wants to concentrate on his activity. That's it. Let him crack on with that. It's down now to the team, the promotional elements, all the people in and around him to navigate the right times of when to strike for those titles that I were mentioning, the English title, the British title, all those types of things, as we take this path to where this young man wants to go.
Yeah, I mean, it was different to me. I've got to be honest. I like to interfere with my journey. I was looking at people. I was like,
now.
I want to fight for this title soon. I want this one, this one. I'll be looking at opponents, just wanted to get there. And I felt like it helped me and it got me along the way quicker. But I don't think I had the same force that Moses got behind him, So I think what's invaluable for you right now is just being exposed to these big events as well, because you don't realise it, but you're picking up experience. You're just being part of the big shows, wandering around, seeing how that pay-per-view machine works, for example. So I was fortunate to be in the slipstreams of David Hay, who was, the heavyweight champion, fighting on the pay-per-view shows out in Germany, in the UK, and then I ended up being chief support on some of these shows. So, I benefited from that, and then by the time it gets to your turn to be in the big fights, you're like, well, I know exactly what to expect.
It's preparation, isn't it? And I think that is key when you get to that sort of level, because boxing has become so mainstream, so big now, and you, without even probably recognising, boxing on these undercards of the, out there in Saudi and all the big shows, because they want you to be that kid, that one that's at the top. But it's all preparation, man. It's development for that day, and that day will come.
What do you do away from boxing? 19 years of age. You're a man. You know what I mean? You got pals all over the gaff. Come on, man. What do you get up to when you're not?
So I'm very boring. I don't really have a lot to do outside of boxing. So I just feel like because I'm so young in this sport, I only got time to kick my feet up.
Okay.
So it's just like I'm just constantly thinking about boxing. When I'm not thinking about boxing, I'm on holiday thinking about boxing. Do you know what I mean? So
where's your holiday spot?
Yeah, come on. Where'd you like to go?
Marbella.
There you go.
The normal stuff. Do you know what? Last year I visited a few countries. Marrakesh. Obviously, I went to Morocco, Paris, France, Belgium, Brussels.
So there you go.
We're just
so you like to travel? You like to travel? You like to get out and about and see a little bit of the world on your downtime?
I guess so, but I don't know. I'm only there for like a couple of days. I'm not really like there for a whole week trying to enjoy the place. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like when I'm not training, I'm like, I don't know. I just get agitated. I'm not doing nothing productive. I just can't wait to get back in the gym.
Were you like this?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I can't remember what my hobbies were. Probably not. It's the same. Boxing does take over.
Yeah, it takes over massively.
But you're all in.
No, listen, you're all in.
You're all in.
You're all in.
Even when you're on holiday, you're led on the beach for... I can't switch off, man, because I'm thinking of this next thing.
So eat, live, sleep, repeat.
Yeah, see, do you know when you're on holiday, and you're enjoying yourself, you're like, my opponent's not enjoying himself. So it's like, I've got to get in the gym, I've got to run or something. So it's like, it does just take your happiness away for a minute, but it'll be all worth it one day.
But you got no imminent rivals. There's no one who you're in competition with.
No, I'm always in competition. Because like I said, I'm the young kid on the block. So even though like I might not be as mature as other people, I can make it up in other ways, you know what I mean? So, well, I try to make it up in other ways, like I'll be more tough or more stronger or more fit or whatever, just because like I won't have that man strength that they already got by age. And my S&C coach already said my biggest downfall is that I want my 29-year-old me now. And I said, that's not like, just because obviously I can't get my 29-year-old now, don't mean I can't get nothing close, you know what I mean? I said, let me just get as close as I possibly can. And obviously, like you said, I ain't got no rivals, but you never know. Tomorrow, like
But there's
today,
some scalps you want.
no,
Yeah?
today there might not be a rival, but tomorrow they might. So I'm always ready.
Regarding, George was just touching upon it there, the British scene in their heavyweight division, it's very strong, isn't it?
Very strong.
And as George was kind of alluding to there, at some point, those people, they will become rivals because you're going to face them
100%.
at some point. What do you make of it? Where's the talent for you as you look around that heavyweight division?
Obviously the Dakers, Adelaide.
That's a good matchup, by the way, on the Magnificent Seven, by the way.
Yep. Obviously the Wardley Clark fight was very good as well. Fisher's boxing Babbage. I mean, we're all doing well. The British heavyweight scene. Obviously, we're like on the British level at the minute. Yeah, we're all doing well, and I don't want to be part of them fights, but you gotta see it from their perspective. They ain't gonna want to fight a 19-year-old. Do you know what I mean? Especially someone like me. I look at their position. I wouldn't fight me either. Like, why would I give up my titles or something? Or like, if they lose to someone the same age as them or whatnot, they can come back from that. But if they lose to me, they can't really come back from that. So that's why it's quite hard for me to make fights. But that's not my problem. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, nothing personal. Just want their rankings.
Do they all lose to you right now?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
But the rapid progress that you're making and the noise that you're making as well, and as I said to you, it's all about that development thing. It's going to be harder for them to hold you back and let you go. So what I'm saying is, you're the names you mentioned there when you're talking about your Wardleys, your Clarks, and the younger ones that are coming through. That's a 12-month thing, mate. Like when you've had you can't bang out another 5 fights in the next 12 months because they're keeping you very active. You go there, all of a sudden you're like sort of 14-0. You're there, mate. You're there, and it's not a factor. Well, they won't want to fight me. You'll be in that position.
100%.
You'll be, and so it's a case of money speaks. You're a big name. They'll want you on the big shows. They'll be a part of that. That's the business, isn't it? It's like the business side of things is that they'll be forced into fighting you because of the rapid progress.
100%, and that's why I've just knuckled my head down and carried on. Obviously, beginning of the year, we offered the fight today because he turned it down. So we was like, we ain't gonna wait for nobody. I was gonna crack on. Obviously, my last fight, I picked up the WBO Intercontinental, and now that could push me into bigger fights. And I don't know, I'm not waiting for no one. I'm just gonna go full steam ahead, see what I can achieve, and then if these lot ever want to fight, then do you know what I mean? They can come see me.
I love that.
When you watch Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury fight, do you do what I used to do as a fighter and go, well, this is exactly how I would beat them? And if you do, please tell us how.
Nah, I didn't.
No.
I didn't.
So you don't watch Usyk and go, I could beat him,
Oh,
or
no,
this
no,
is how
sorry.
I would beat him.
Yeah, I did. But see that fight, I just watched it as a fan. I don't know, every fight, I hate it because at the minute, every fight I'm trying to analyse it. And then my fight with Usyk v Fury, I just kind of watched it as a fan. I loved it. But I was just thinking after that, I just want to spar Usyk. I want to see how far I am from that. Me and my brothers was just talking earlier. I never really put Usyk on my pound for pound list like that before that fight. But now you can't really knock it. He's won everything in boxing twice over.
Guy, yeah.
So you can't actually knock it. But people need to forget. People tend to forget as well. The balls that Fury showed from coming back from round 9. Most people would have just called it a day there. He actually came back, and personally, I gave him the last round as well. So you gotta give credit to Fury as well.
He definitely showed a lot of character. Who's the best you've ever shared a ring with in sparring? Because you sparred all the big boys. Who do you find the best?
I think Fury. Fury for me was he's just such a unique fighter. His speed, his agility, and just his ring IQ as well was very good. I kind of struggled with the bar as well. I don't know, it's just the way he keeps his jab not to his chin. He doesn't keep it out. He keeps it kind of halfway. And for people that don't know, when you're southpaw or the orthodox, that makes it very awkward, to land your own jab or your own straight punches. So I don't know. There's a lot of good fighters on the British scene, but slowly I'll be coming through there.
I want to get your thoughts quickly before I let you get on. Next weekend, we've got the 5v5. There's a couple of big heavyweight fights in there.
All right.
Okay, so we got Zhang against Wilder.
Zhang.
You thinking Zhang's going to come through on that one? And then we've got Dubois against Ergovic. Who's coming through that?
No, I want Dubois to win, but I don't know if he will.
It's a tough fight, isn't it?
It is very
That's
tough.
the side of a great fight when we're all on the fence. Because me and Spencer were having a little bit of a debate about this earlier on, and where one's in one corner and one's in the other corner. It's a sign of a great fight, that fight.
Yeah, 100%.
I think Dubois.
Like, Joe, see who it is, yeah. See
so
if
now you know where I'm at. Cheers to that.
Nah, so see if there was a fight going on and 100% of the arena thought that fighter A was going to win, then who's going to watch it?
What's the point?
It's when it's a 50-50, everyone's like, do you know what I mean, what's going to happen? And that's what makes fights exciting as well. And obviously now with his excellency coming in and kind of making these big fights happen, as boxing's just only going one way.
Okay. Give me the date then. If you can't give me the opponent, give me the date when we're going to see you do your thing again.
27th of July.
So you're on the Joyce Chisora undercard.
Yes.
You're on that.
Yes.
Brilliant. Great to hear, mate, in the O2 Arena. When we get an opponent, you'll tell us in a bit. We'll pass that on to you, and then you can get excited about Moses Itauma. Listen, so far so good, man. We're really enjoying what you're doing. Long may that continue, and I can't wait to see that rise over the next 12 to 18 months.
Thank you very
when we
much.
get to see them names in there with you. Top man. Moses Itauma on the show. Do stick with us. We're going to speak to Lawrence Okolie next. He had a great win last night. Don't be going anywhere.
Fight Night with Adam Catterall and Gareth A. Davies on talkSPORT, the home of boxing.
What a start from Okolie, who's stepping in looking for the left-right combination again. It's the big right hand, he lands it, he almost puts him down, another one, and he goes down with the third. It was an uppercut, two right crosses, followed by an uppercut. Has Rozanski got the stomach to continue? He's lumbering around a drunken man, and he's been stopped.
He's gone. What a fantastic start from Okolie.
A little bit of commentary from talkSPORT yesterday evening as John Rowland and Duke McKenzie were calling through Lawrence Okolie in Poland, taking out Lucas Rozanski, a man that was alongside. Well, you were ringside last night, weren't you? In Poland. You've only just jetted back into the show, you international globe-trotting superstar, Spencer Oliver. He was good last night, Lawrence, wasn't he?
He was sensational last night. You know, there was a lot of ifs, buts and maybes and moving up in weight as well to bridge your weight. You know, how was he going to look at that weight? And I think he ticked all the boxes, answered all the questions. He went out there with a game plan. He talked about that game plan. We didn't know if he could implement that, teaming up with Joe Gallagher. So many changes for Lawrence Okolie, and he went out there, he delivered. I thought it was a clinical finish. Lovely uppercut shot right through the middle. But yeah, as soon as he started, you could see he was controlling the space. It was important the way he was moving his feet in and out of range. And yeah, Lucas Rozanski couldn't get near him. And he was out there and he done what he said he was going to do. He was aggressive and he attacked. And yeah, it was a first-class performance. Best I've actually seen Lawrence Okolie before. I think it was a career best performance.
Look at you, you're all in there, aren't you? Like that. Well, let's speak to the man, shall we? Because he got the job done in Poland last night and very kindly gives up a bit of time to come and join us on the show. Lawrence, welcome back to talkSPORT. How are you, sir?
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm well. Just taking in the day yesterday, and yeah, happy to be here.
Listen, last night is obviously the cherry on top of the cake. It is the climax of some sensational work that you've been doing in the gym with Joe, and obviously building up to that point last night. But I want to just take you back a little bit further, if I may. In the aftermath of obviously the defeat to Bill Smith, talk to me what goes through your mind during those periods of time, man. Everybody, I say this all the time. It's easy when things are going well and you're winning and you're top of the world and you're the champion. But when it doesn't necessarily go your way, you find out a lot about yourself. What did you learn about yourself during those times, mate?
Lots of different things. I prefer being a world champion to not being a world champion, being the main one. And outside of that, just obviously. The real lesson is obviously yesterday, which is, can you come back from adversity? Obviously I was undefeated up until that last fight, boxed in, obviously in England, but in an away crowd, and then decided to go against a guy with a higher KO ratio in a higher weight class in his hometown, coming off of a defeat. So, I showed that, obviously I do want it, and I've got balls of steel.
Lawrence, you're talking about being in a hostile atmosphere there at the Vitality Stadium, and it really was. It was pro Chris Billum Smith, but boy, we was out there in Poland. You talk about hostile atmospheres. Lucas Rozansky, from the weigh-in, the way the crowd were at the weigh-in, it was in a shopping centre and it was absolutely packed. Lucas, they were going bananas. When we got to the venue, it was exactly the same. How difficult was that for you to deal with? Did you feed off that pressure?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's all about experience and kind of getting to grips with. There's some stuff you can't control. The crowd is gonna, back their guy, and they're gonna, do everything they can to try and unsettle you. But I was really focused. Like I was really focused on what I had to do. I felt really, good. I felt it's like I could actually enjoy boxing. Yesterday, because it wasn't a God, I've dehydrated, done this, and now I need to put all the weight back on, and I'm focusing on that. How do I feel? Do I feel too heavy? Well, now it's just what I'm pretty much training at, is what I went in the ring at, so it was good.
Lawrence, you're Bridgerweight world champion, and for a lot of people, this is a brand new weight division that they might not know an awful lot about, but they're going to know about you, and you essentially are a big name with this new belt. I'd love to see you stay at Bridgerweight for a little bit and then be in some huge fights and establish the new category, if we will. And if you do that, have you got anyone in mind? Is there anyone on the radar, some really exciting, saucy fights that we can get stuck into in terms of...
Well, thank you, George. Sorry for cutting you off there. There's two fights that kind of stick out at the way. Obviously, a mandatory's been called with Kevin Arena. I think British fight fans will know him because he's boxed Dan Dubois, and he's boxed on a Saudi show recently. I think he was on the undercard of one of those big sort of Saudi shows. So he's a good tough competitor. He's a southpaw. Always in good fights. So that's one, and then the other one would obviously be Tashenko, who's the WBA Bridgerweight champion. Is it WBA? WBA Bridgerweight champion, yeah, and he actually won the Olympics that I went to in 2016. So I've always wanted to kind of get him, and it'll be great to get him as a pro. So whichever one of those two comes up at Bridgerweight, yeah, and then we'll see what heavyweight's saying after.
How are you enjoying Manchester, mate?
How am I enjoying it? Yeah, I'm enjoying the training part, but obviously it's lonely. I don't have many friends here, not to get the sub story out or whatever, so I'm just there focused, training back to the apartment, and that was really it.
But that shows the mentality of where you're at, to be able to up sticks. I know that you've funded a lot of this yourself, mate, getting up to Manchester and obviously working alongside Joe on a day-by-day basis. That just shows, I think, everybody that is a fan of yours just how badly you want it. And we saw last night, obviously, I know it was you were only in there for a little bit. You probably didn't even need a shower after last night. You were there you were in there that quickly. But it was quite evident the stuff that you've been working on, that range control and letting that big backhand go, because you've obviously got a boatload of power. What things have you been working on with Joe, and how much has your game come on since teaming up with him in that short period of time?
I think the main thing is composure. There's not much that I can't really do. When I look back at my career from amateur to pro, I've always been naturally gifted at fighting without, blowing the trumpet. Obviously, I've worked hard, but I've always been strong or powerful or whatever else. So I think it's more about composure and confidence in certain situations. Mid-range punching in the gym. I've had to get rep after rep of being in an uncomfortable situations or situations that I find uncomfortable. Maybe like being in there with guys who have shorter arms and not being able to hold and having to ride shots, block, use my feet more, like not being allowed to hold at all. So those kind of things are kind of what's been implemented, and it allows the other stuff, my punching to show because isn't as many breaks in the action.
Lawrence, am I right in thinking that Joe Gallagher is now spending some time in Saudi Arabia working out of the Mike Tyson gym? And then is that just a short flight over from Dubai? And does that fit nice and snug into your training regime maybe for the future? So you could even spend even more time with him without being in the Airbnb Manchester on your own in between sessions.
Yeah, I still have to be in an Airbnb in Saudi. But yeah, it's not far. It's maybe an hour and a bit away. So it's quite close. But I don't know how long he gets to stay there. That's something that we're working on now. But yeah, no, definitely. I just think that
you chase the sun, don't you? You
loves the sunshine.
You need a warm weather athlete.
Yeah, man. I feel like the best comes out of sub-Saharan athletes, and the sun. So I've been I do love a bit of sun. This cat obviously time of year as well. Manchester was very wet and whatever else, but it's a bit of a mix out. Obviously, with the success of the fight, it's kind of like what Joe was obviously trying to instill in that is that he doesn't want me living a comfortable life. Obviously, I live a comfortable life in Dubai, so he wants the grit. So if I'm in Saudi, I'm not staying in a five-star hotel and we can eat buffets and so on and so forth. It's work. Because I think that's when I get the best out of myself when I'm, mentally pushing myself. So I've got a lot of grit naturally, but sometimes you need to go to those places to bring it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, congratulations, mate. It was great to see, obviously, your reaction in the aftermath of obviously the victory yesterday, getting the train back on the tracks. Looking forward to see what the next things is, and we all know that this is eventually going to culminate in a heavyweight forage, mate. So we're looking forward to seeing that as well at some point.
Yes.
So listen, all the best. Enjoy a little bit of downtime. We look forward to seeing you getting back out there and doing your thing once again. Take care, mate.
Cheers,
Congratulations, mate.
Top man. There you go. Lawrence Okolie, winner last night at the WBC World Bridgeweight Championship over in Poland. We'll get a little bit more of a breakdown on that a little bit later on in the show. In Leeds at the moment, Siobhan Clark is in the ring against Ellis Zorro. They're going at it. It's a nice little knot, this, through the early stages of the fight. We'll get you a full breakdown as that progresses over in Leeds as we head towards Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall. Stick with us. This is talkSPORT.
1089 and 1053 medium wave. Online, on your mobile, on the app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT. Talk Sport.
Good evening, I'm Mark Tyler. Manchester United are celebrating a surprise FA Cup win tonight, but Erik ten Hag admits he doesn't know if it's enough to keep his job. Alejandro Garnacho and Kobe Mainoo both on target in the 2-1 win against City. But despite rumours about his future, Ten Hag is remaining defiant.
When I started here, I said I'm here to win, and also I want to build the team. Both I'm doing, but if they don't want me anymore, what I said, I go anywhere else, and then I keep going. What I do my whole managing career, winning games, winning trophies.
So United claim a place in the Europa League, which means Chelsea drop into the conference while Newcastle miss out on Europe altogether. Celtic completed the double by beating Rangers 1-0 in the Scottish Cup final. Adam Idar's 90th minute goal sealed it for Brendan Rodgers' team.
The will of the players and the desire of the players was immense, really. So, and to get that winning goal was a great feeling.
Compensation of around 10 million has been agreed, and Burnley's Vincent Kompany is set to take charge at Bayern Munich. Wayne Rooney is confirmed as the new boss at Championship Plymouth, just 4 months after being sacked by Birmingham. Barcelona have retained their Women's Champions League title with a 2-0 victory over Lyon. Bayer Leverkusen lifted themselves from their Europa League defeat to win the German Cup tonight, so a domestic unbeaten season is complete. England began preparations for the T20 World Cup with victory over Pakistan. Toulouse won Rugby's Champions Cup with an extra-time victory against Leinster. And Ferrari's Charles Leclerc will start tomorrow's Monaco Grand Prix from pole. There's more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Officials in the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv say 4 people have died in a Russian airstrike which hit a crowded DIY store. The Royal Air Force has confirmed a pilot has died after a Spitfire crashed in Lincolnshire during a Battle of Britain flight. And PGA Tour golfer Grayson Murray has died at the age of 30.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With over 600 centres across the UK, most of which open 7 days a week, we're here for every journey. QuickFit. Drive away happy every time.
A cloudy start on Sunday with some rain, sunny spells and showers in the afternoon, many of them heavy.
Online, DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Get in the ring and go the distance with Fight Night.
The fight starts now.
With Adam Catterall.
I don't think he's going to get up.
On talkSPORT, the home of boxing.
It's Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall, Spencer Oliver and George Groves alongside me. We're getting ready to watch along Taylor versus Catterall 2. From Leeds, that's the main event tonight. Currently in the ring, you've got Ellis Zorro and Siobhan Clark going at it for the British title. We'll keep you up to date with that. We've got Razar Ali coming in the studio shortly. He was in action last night getting the job done. And we're going to give you a preview of tonight's event in a moment or two. If you want to get involved, you can. 03717 22 33 44. You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. As well as being able to listen to the show on talkSPORT this evening, we are on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. If you want to get stuck into that, you can see these pretty faces. Not faces for radio, these lads, let me tell you. Spencer Oliver and George Groves alongside me, as well as our guests that are coming in. If you've missed the first hour of the show, you've missed Moses Itauma and Lawrence Okolie, don't worry, we'll stick it up on YouTube for you so you can get stuck into it at some point, and it will feature in the talkSPORT Boxing podcast. So get across that too. Now then, gentlemen. Main event this evening, Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall, part 2. It's been going on for 2 years, this, since the controversial result a couple of years back. Loads of back and forth, injuries, other fights being mandated and taken, belts being fragmented, belts being lost, and we find ourselves tonight where we've got these two guys with some serious bad blood between the pair of them, having a contest to settle a score. We kind of need this. Don't we? Every fight fan needs to see this evening.
We do need this, and I think Jack Catterall needed it as well. And it's a fight that we thought was going to happen, and it seemed to be slipping away, and we thought it was never going to happen, and out of the blue, we get it. Unfortunately, it's not for the undisputed, as Jules talks about earlier on. That comes around very, very rarely, and that probably won't happen again in both of these guys' careers. That's very unfortunate for Jack Catterall, who I thought won the fight last time, 9 rounds to 3. I thought it was very conclusive. Terrible scoring, but he gets the opportunity to right the wrongs of that first contest. For Josh Taylor, I think it's all about egos going back in at 140. I think he's made a bad decision there. He should have done a catch weight, because I think he's outgrown that. I think that proved what I'm saying when he lost to Teofimo Lopez. I think that he looked, slow and sluggish, and just that he's outgrown, super lightweight. So I think it's there for Catterall to win tonight.
One thing that I'm impressed with regarding Taylor in the build-up to this fight is that it's he that's demanded to do this at 140. There's been lots of conversations for a long time, hasn't there, about whether he's done at 140, whether he's going at 147, whether he could do this at a catch weight. But it's he that has demanded, no, listen, the first fight took place at 140. We're going back to 140 because I don't want any excuses. Because let's be honest, if he goes and does a catch weight and beats him at 144, fans are probably going to come at him and say, well, it's because you had that extra £4 or extra £5. Going back to 140 just kind of reiterates the man that we thought Josh Taylor was a couple of years back, and he's just confirmed that with that decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he doesn't... Not so much he doesn't want to have this fight. Now, I'm sure he wants this fight more than ever, but he was looking at bigger names than Jack Catterall, and maybe that was part and parcel of the performance last time they fought. I didn't make him a winner. He got the nod. I don't think he handled any of the situation well. And then there's this public sort of outcry and outrage, I think, has been eating away at Josh Taylor for a long time now. And as you say, he said, no, I'm giving, there's no outs, there's no excuses. I don't want to have that. I'm going to put wrong. I'm going to put right what essentially what everyone says was wrong the last time. So, I think we will see. And if he doesn't perform, are we going to be questioned, is it because he's so tight at the weight? But also, ultimately, two men have to fight each other, and there has to be a winner, and they can't hate any excuses. There can't be any excuses. And that's what fight fans love to do. Yeah. I heard a lot of excuses for Fury last week. And ultimately, you got to go in there, you got to fight, you got to win. If there are problems, you keep them to yourself. And Josh Taylor, to his credit, has. And he's decided to go, right, I'm going back in at 140 and I'm going to do the job.
Just on him. I'll bring him back in a minute. Just want to talk about Jack Catterall because of the aftermath of this fight. How badly was he treated by boxing? And I'm not just talking about the actual night. Listen, I'm sure both of you can speak about maybe getting stinkers on the cards and various things like that from judging. I'm talking about the aftermath where he doesn't that fight. He was mandated as the number one from the WBO, right? And they put him down to number 7 in their rankings in the immediate aftermath of that, rather than say, well, hang on a minute, let's run that back. Let's force that fight again. Let's go again for that. For him to have had that moment stolen, the Undisputed Championship, as you said, George, earlier on, and then for him to have taken, he still hasn't fought for a world title in that time since.
Yeah.
It seems ridiculous to me that he wasn't thrown, all right, mate, you've been done there, throw him straight back in with a world title shot.
But you can't expect anyone to do you any favours. That's his management and his team should have forced that.
Lobbied for things like that.
I had what I felt like was a dodgy decision once against Froch, and then I went out, flew myself out, and I had a hearing with the IBF, and I got reinstated as mandatory. So whether I fought Froch or not, I'm fighting for the world title next. Right. Yeah. I did that off my own accord. I don't know what Catterall's done, but rather than moan, you got to put stuff into action. You got to trust in your team to do it. I mean, that's what happens. Like, that's how these fights, fighters jump the queue. Stuff happens. They get made. They get looked after. They get navigated properly. And if you don't, there's no point just moaning about it.
With the outcry there, there should have been something that happened there. Like, boxing really lost there as well because of, you're right in what you say about Jack Catterall and the way that he was treated, and George's 100% right, and as in the management
they should have got hold of that situation.
He shouldn't be dropping down in the rankings. He's just beat the undisputed champion clearly and not got the decision. So there was a lot wrong with that, and I think it's taking a little bit too long to get this return on as well. I don't know what you think, George, but for me, I look at it and go, it's lost it's lost a little bit of its appetite. Although it's still a great fight for boxing fans, I think with the controversy of the first one, like your first fight with Cole Froch, that just captured the imagination. You bring boxing back to stadiums, like off the back of that, because of the controversy, and you get the rematch, and I think that should have happened in some respects to these two. Do you?
There's a fine line that I was walking the tightrope of. I've got to moan, but I can't moan too much because we as British people, British fight fans, we don't want to hear about moaners. Like and boxing moves on real quick.
Yeah,
and I think boxing moved on for Catterall, and it became that pool of people who were outraged was just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Till in the end, it was just Catterall and his team who couldn't let it go, and it was that Taylor was still biting back because he's a proud man. Because if Taylor had decided, do you know what, I can't be bothered with this anymore, then they wouldn't be fighting now.
Yeah.
But I think it's Taylor who's decided he wants this fight, and to Catterall's benefit, if he wins, he's going to feel like a bit of,
vindication, I suppose. Yeah.
What do you make of the weight at 140? What do you make of him going back to that weight? Do you think it benefits him, or do you think that's going to work against Taylor tonight?
Well, like each their own. You make your decisions. I was in the gym with Taylor when we was at the McGuigan's gym, and it was getting harder and harder. It looked like it was getting harder and harder, and that was five years ago.
Yeah.
So he's a big guy.
He looked good yesterday on the scale, to be fair, did he? Best he's looked for a long time at 140.
Yeah, but maybe he's made some slight changes.
Yeah.
He, not to give too much away about Josh Taylor. I don't know if you heard stories, but like he does have ADHD. He can't switch off. He'll be up in the middle of the night shadow boxing. He is that sort of guy. You're having a conversation with him and he's throwing punches at you like Josh, calm down. And then maybe if he's got a grip of that, in terms of, because that might play a factor on weight making. Sometimes I've got so much energy, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you overbake it. So
you made a great point, though, George, that he was struggling to make weight, which we know that was a couple of years ago, the fight, but like 4 or 5 years ago, he's always been so big for the weight. And as you know, George, you've been there, you've been a boxer, it gets harder and harder as you get older to make that weight, and people will say, well, how does that? Your body, you're not growing, but it does. It just sort of that twilight of your career, when you get into that stage, it is difficult, isn't it?
No, you naturally get heavier, but hey, maybe Catterall's struggling in the weight. We don't know. He just because he doesn't look it doesn't mean that he's not. And sometimes fighters who appear smaller and you think they should be able to deal with it easier, they don't. So and it can always play a factor in the fight.
Here's a question for the both of you, because I think I know what version of Jack Catterall I'm getting this evening. The questions that I have about the fight are all on Josh Taylor's side. Does the Josh Taylor that beat Jose Ramirez 3 years ago, near enough to the date, does he still exist?
I think so. I'd like to see it, whether he can maintain that for an entire fight. But I think the fight within Josh Taylor doesn't leave him, and the way that he fights doesn't leave him. I still think he's a spiteful athlete, punches hard, but he's it's not like he has to rely on lightning fast reflexes that might fail him one day, or lightning fast punches even. He's a very good technical operator, and he fights off that aggressive stance. So that I can see him rolling back the years. Like I can see him still performing if he's up for it. And is he ever going to be as up for any fight as he will be tonight?
I think he's the type of guy that needs a bit of nastiness in there, doesn't he? I think he needs a little bit of that spite, and it just gets him going a little bit, doesn't it?
Well, he's got to get his tactics right.
Of course.
Catterall beat him on tactics last time out. He got his game plan right. And he dropped Taylor. Taylor had to get up off the floor, so he had a stinker. Like Taylor, he had a stinker. But if he makes those adjustments, then can Catterall come with the same game plan? Probably not. Taylor's gonna.
Yeah.
Well, he spent 12 rounds with him now. Fighters read each other. They get to cope with each other. So even years ago, like it will just come back. It's ingrained in the DNA now. So it'd be who gets their tactics right and the one who prevails, I suppose.
The first fight wasn't the prettiest, let's be dead honest about it. Obviously, we've had the controversy off the back of it. Tonight, hopefully, we get the boy and stomach that we all anticipated the first time around. It's up in a minute because I'm looking at Chev Clark being crowned the new British champion in the heavyweight division. He stopped Elisor, I think it was in the 7th, maybe 8th round there.
Round 7.
Clipped him with an overhand right and then went through the gears in the finish. Listen, he's a super talent, Chev Clark. But as I was watching that, it looked super competitive up until that finish.
Absolutely. I think that Ellis Zorro was having his moments. He was landing some good shots. As you say, it was very competitive. And but Chev Clark proved what class he is, and he's come through there. And that's a valuable fight for him to win that British title. Puts him up there in that mix. Ellis Zorro, people remember Jai Alpataya boxing out in Saudi Arabia last time, and Ellis Zorro getting knocked out badly in a round. We didn't know how he was going to come back. Strange choice, actually, to go in straight into a fight with Chev Clark. I think it was always going to be a difficult fight for him, that was. But, yeah, Chev Clark has come through that one and looked good in doing it as well.
British cruiserweights, man. They're on fire at the moment, aren't they?
They
You know, we've got some
certainly
good
are, mate.
fights coming up. And
We've
obviously
got a big
now,
one June the 15th.
Well, listen, this guy's hunting them down, isn't it? Because you've got a European title fight there with Isaac Chamberlain. I know that's against Jack Massey now. This guy with the British title, he's going to be having a nosy at that, isn't he? He's going to be knocking on the door saying, oi, oi, I'll have the winner of that.
Absolutely, he'll be looking for the winner of that. Like you say, the cruiserweight division right now, a weight that's always sort of been, sort of not the most popular
In Great Britain,
around.
it's on fire.
It's absolutely on fire. And Jai Alpataya, who's the IBF champ, you look at him and go like, he's the monster of the division. He's boxing, cruiserweight boxing back, to the Evander Holyfield days and whatnot. And you look at that and go, yeah, that guy's the real deal.
Hey, I like that. Real deal, Holyfield. See what you did there?
I didn't know I did it.
Timed
but
that was nicely timed. You listen to Fight Night on talkSPORT with William Hill. Get epic value all season with William Hill. You've got to be over 18. BeGambleAware.org. Next, we're going to be getting stuck into the main event from Leeds. It's Taylor Catterall 2. It's the one that you've been waiting for.
Wednesday night from 8, the Europa Conference League final, live on talkSPORT 2.
What a moment this could be.
Olympiacos versus Fiorentina, live from Athens.
Oh, he's won it, surely!
The Europa Conference League final, live. Wednesday night from 8 on talkSPORT 2.
You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall, Spencer Oliver, George Groves alongside me. We are going to get stuck into the watch-along very, very shortly of Taylor Catterall, but I think it's only fair that we have a little bit of a look back to last night. Obviously, Lawrence Okolie did his thing, but we also had a show being streamed live on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. A very popular fighter on our YouTube channel that we spoke about on several occasions. Razar Ali has very kindly come to join us in the studio off the back of a win at the York Call last night. And before I come to you, Razor, I know that obviously you've got a wonderful relationship here with Spence, who's helping navigate the career and point you in the right direction and what have you. This man was in Portland last night, and you should have seen him, mate. We were talking. Obviously, he was doing a job for talkSPORT, talking about the big title fight with Lawrence Okolie. But this fella's got his phone out ringside. He's watching one fight like this. He's watching you like this. He's egging it on, shouting it on, and all this type of stuff, weren't you, mate?
Yeah, absolutely.
The emotions in Portland last night as you were watching the boy do his thing.
Listen, my backstory with Razor is seeing him in the gym with his trainer Kieran Duffy, who does a great job with him and looks after him so well, developed him so well. And I saw him and I thought, you know what, this kid can fight. He's decent. There's something about him. You know, George, when you're in a gym and you go, there's a little aura about a fighter. So sort of investigated a little bit, asked a little bit about him. He was with Wasserman, I think, Razor at the time, wasn't he?
It wasn't, man.
Yeah, like about 4 or 5 unbeaten or whatever. And I thought, he's sort of sitting there and nothing's really happening in his career. And then Kieran told me his backstory, which has been well documented now, and where he's come from and how he got to where he is now. Sleeping rough on the streets, getting taken to West Ham Boxing Club, then Repton. And he just looked at the journey straight away. I went, bang, I'm hooked. and he can fight. I think we can have a great time with him, you know, and I think that when the people find out who Razar Ali is and their personality that he is, very infectious, man, and I think that can only be, you know, a good thing in the world we live in, George.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think first time I met you was at the Wasserman
That's right.
building. And there's a connection. Oh, you're Iranian, aren't you? Yeah. So
Yes.
my wife's got Iranian family. So I was like,
Okay.
well, here we go.
That's all right. Yeah.
And they said, oh, you're like this guy. So yeah, I've been trying to keep. I didn't see the fight last night, but I heard you won. You won body shot, third round. How'd it go?
It was good. It felt I needed some time to wake up. You know, the atmosphere was like crazy, and then but I feel like as soon as I got in the ring with him, I felt his power, and I knew before the fight. Honestly, I'm not trying to be like funny sometimes. Like I felt in the press day, I told him, I'm like, you'll be in trouble. You know, I'm gonna send you to hospital. I'm very happy that he's fine and okay. I messaged him this morning, but I had this in my heart, like in my belly, like it's my night. You know, I have to go and perform, no matter what I go through. Tonight is the night I've been dreaming about, and I have to prove myself.
Yeah, you get to a stage, but as a fighter, you have to find that hatred from somewhere because, you know, this guy's trying to take what, you know, you're trying to achieve. I mean, it's great. We'll talk about your mum in a little while. She's coming over now. That's a fantastic story there as well. She's coming over in a couple of weeks, right?
Yes.
So I know this was so important for you to get this victory, get your first belt, get your mum over, and it's a fairy tale story. It really is. But that stuff you're talking about, that fire in your belly, George, and you will relate to this as well. You have to find that from somewhere, don't you? Going into a fight when you're trying to build your career and whatnot. You obviously don't mean it like what you said there. You know.
No, I didn't mean it. He's a nice guy.
What I'm saying, you have to find that as a fighter. You need that fire in your belly, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's part and parcel of the job, isn't it? Like people get hurt, and that's you don't get paid for overtime.
No.
You know, you want to put on a show. It's a brutal sport. But it's what people want to see, so you have to deliver.
That's right, like especially when you got that much people there cheering for you, and like you feel it's my hometown, it's my first title fight, and I've been training 10 weeks in the camp. I honestly dedicate my life to this sport. I just have so much obsession with it. I don't know, like I feel so much every time when I'm like, okay, I have to get ready, go to gym. Everything is around my boxing. As soon as I see my gloves, like there was a goosebump in my belly, you know, like in my body. I'm like, let me go, like punch and learn, and I just want to be better than yesterday. I feel so good when I'm in the gym. I feel so free, like all my pain, everything. It feels like I can be myself.
That's the thing that fascinates me the most about fighters, right? Everybody that has been following your journey knows about your story, where you've come from and what have you, and what Spencer's alluding to there with your mum. I want you to tell that story in a minute because it's beautiful what's going to happen hopefully in a couple of weeks' time, because I know it lights your face up. But you talk about pain and you talk about the things that are going on outside in the real world, the places that you've come from. And I'm sure the two gentlemen that are with me in the studio can probably resonate with this. Spending a lot of time around fighters, what I find, and the most fascinating thing, is that the calmest place on the planet, the place that they feel the most free, the place that they feel the most alive and themselves the most, is in the ring. So the normal person who just observes and comments on this sport, I find that absolutely fascinating, that the world outside can be on fire.
Yes.
But when you step through the ropes, it's a completely different thing.
Different, honestly. Like, they were there before me, so they know what I'm talking about. It's just different. Like, you got everything around you in your life is like for you to get to your goal and to be number one, to be champion. And then when you love what you do and you're able to do it and nothing can stop you, it's a blessing, you know? If I was back home, I couldn't do this. Like, I was doing this since I'm 8 years old. You know, I was a Thai boxer. I went to China alone. I went to fight for the world title in Thai boxing with a 26 years old guy, champion. I was only 15 years old, alone. Took my bag, went to China. I couldn't speak English, and then they come pick me up from the airport. I don't know what's going on. I just want to fight. I go fight there. I lost the fight, but it was like amazing experience. I fought in China, 20,000 people watching it there in the venue, and I'm only 15, and I'm from a little place in Tehran, you know. And it was like I travel everywhere for like boxing or for fighting.
But that has been your life, though, isn't it? The fighting is your life. That's what it is.
It's the thing that I'm referring to there, where you guys feel the most in control.
Yeah.
Life-wise, you know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
for Reza's story, I mean, there's a lot of things in his life that they're out of control, right? But then when you go through the ropes, that's your moment. I'm in control of this moment. This is my moment, and I can dictate how this now goes.
Yes, last night when the ref said like time to fight, I was like, this guy just is standing between me and my dreams.
That's so powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's such a powerful thing.
But you know what, though, George, you're related to this as well. It's like what's ever going on in your life. That's why boxing is such a great outlet. When people have problems and you hear some terrible stories from kids in childhood or whatever, why they get taken to boxing gyms? Because it's a great place. It's like a bubble. Like from that moment when you step, everyone leaves their luggage at the door in boxing gyms.
But it's a place to put the positive. Yeah, it's a positive output.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone leaves their luggage at the door. You go in the gym, and for that moment, you're thinking about nothing but what's going on in that gym. And a lot of people have got a world of troubles outside of it, you know, but everybody's treated as an equal. You know, you can get one guy that's, you know, finding life very tough. You've got a painter and decorator, a lawyer, but they're all equals. And that's what makes people feel special in boxing gyms. And for Razor and his story, the journey he went on, like, is just like it's a film. In fact, if you saw it in a film, you'd go,
Nah,
it's too far-fetched. This is. I'm not watching this crap. You know what I mean? It's one of those.
Yeah.
And you go, so that's why I was invested in him. And you go, and I know that boxing's an outlet, a release for him. You know, and he sort of like took to it like duck to water, and like, you know, you think just it was not that long ago. This kid never boxed before, and he couldn't even speak English. Look at the development of him as a person. That's through boxing.
Absolutely. And there's two elements to this now. You've got hopes, dreams, and ambitions of achieving fantastic things in this sport, becoming champion, and all these things, right? And that's one element of it. But it's also the element of changing yours and your family's life and being able to make positive change in those elements. Now, obviously, every time he's mentioned your mum 2 minutes ago, you've smiled from ear to ear. Tell me the situation. When is the date planned for your mum to be able to come over to the UK?
Yes, she will come like in if I'm not wrong, 3 weeks time.
Mate,
so
come on.
Look at his face. Look at his face. To see it
I didn't see my mum for like long time, and I didn't live with my mother for like most of my life.
Talk to me about the length of time. How long is it since you've seen your mum?
Last time was like 3 years ago.
Okay.
But like I'm 26 years old. Like maybe I only live with my mother for like 5-6 years of my life.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And she comes to the UK.
Yes.
In 3 weeks' time.
3 weeks' time, so we can.
Is she staying?
She stays, yeah.
Brilliant.
She stays, like she can stay for a month.
Explain how hard it was, how difficult it was to get your mum here as well. I mean, you've been on some journey trying to get back with your mum, haven't you?
I don't know, everything's so like hard. I don't know. I think God chose strong people to give them a strong task, you know.
Of course.
But it was very difficult. I had to go through so much work to like just, I don't know why is it so hard, like to be able to, it's everybody's right to have their family by their side.
Mm-hmm.
But like for some people it's not, and it's not fair, you know. But like for the fact that I work so hard, now she can be with me and I can provide for her, and then it's a good life, you know. She comes, everything, like when I came here I was sleeping on the street. She comes here and everything is ready for her, you know. I feel like I haven't made it, but like, I feel like I'm at least
be proud. What does that
in
make
a comfortable place to take care of my family, you know.
Of course. How does that make you feel?
I feel like a strong man.
Good man. Well done, man. Listen, mate, you've done unbelievably well. And this is just the start. We're right at the start of the journey, but what an unbelievable moment that's going to be in 3 weeks' time. What have you got planned? What are you going to show her?
Everything. Everything. The whole world is waiting for her.
Mate.
That's how I felt
Do you know
when
what?
I came here.
Your story when you first come here, you looked up at Liverpool Street Station, you looked up at that clock, and he said that was for him. He said, I had a smile from ear to ear just because I saw that clock, and it was just such an amazing thing. And I was like, well, where was you sleeping? And he was like, I was on the streets, but that didn't matter. I mean, it's just insane, man. I'm so pleased that he's got his mum back.
Boxing wise, talk to me about the trajectory. What's the plan for this young man? Because we spoke to Moses before about activity. The activity's good here.
Yes.
Moving nicely.
Listen, he's picked up his first little bit of bling. He's got the IBO international title now, and that will develop him, or sort of push him on even more now. You know, I think that it elevates you to another level. We're going to see that with young Razor. Listen, you only get out in boxing. Jules will vouch for me here. You only get out what you put in. Cheats always get found out. This kid leaves no stone unturned, and that's why he's moving through the ranks the way that he is. I saw something, you know, a couple of years now ago when I first saw him. I saw it and I looked at it and I thought, yeah, he's got something. Raw, very raw. A lot of work needed doing, but he's reaping the rewards now. You know, I think that's because of the hard work that he puts in. Yep, we're going to go again. He'll go again in a couple of months, another defence. Then we'll be looking for, he's got his British citizenship now.
Yes.
He's just picked that up. So we want to go and collect that title as well. We're going a long way, mate. We're going a long way. This is beautiful. The beginning of the journey, and I'm so pleased for him.
Listen, when your mum gets here, make sure you book a fancy restaurant, charge it to him, right? He'll pick up the tab for that, no problem whatsoever.
Wait, have you seen where this kid hangs out, mate?
Listen, congratulations. Great performance last night.
Much.
Lovely little body shot there in the third round to get Lennox Lee to go out of there, and we're looking forward to the next date.
I wish him a speedy recovery. Honestly, that must be like really painful, you know.
Absolutely.
I don't want nothing bad happens to anyone by me, you know. So as long as he's healthy and to be able to share the ring and level up and learn, for me means so much, because I'm still early in my career, you know. Only 10 amateur fight, 10 pro fight. So I need to go slowly, but I'm in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Well said.
You're a top man, Razor. Thank you very much for coming in,
Thank
mate.
you for having me.
We're going to get stuck into Taylor Catterall 2 in a moment. They're about to make the ring walks. We're going to keep you across everything that's going on in Leeds. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to talkSPORT.
Live Super League tomorrow afternoon from 3 on talkSPORT 2.
Has he got the ball down? You bet he has.
Hear hard-tackling, full-match commentary of Salford Red Devils versus Wigan Warriors.
Ball out wide. Chance here for Miskin at the corner, and this time he will get in.
Live Super League. Salford Red Devils versus Wigan Warriors.
He's racing forward. Goes 90 metres.
Tomorrow afternoon from 3 on talkSPORT 2.
I'm just looking up at my monitor here in the studio, and you can tell that the atmosphere is just starting to bubble nicely in Leeds, as the Taylor and Catterall fans are in full song awaiting their heroes to make the ring walk. 2 and a bit years on since their first dance for the undisputed title. This one tonight, no titles on the line, just the best of each other. Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall 2 about to take place. With that in mind, let's get a full preview of it, shall we? A little bit of a breakdown from William Hill's Lee Phelps. Lee, what have you got for us, mate?
In the Zone on talkSPORT with William Hill. Get epic value all season with William Hill. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Well, the odds are vastly different to the first fight between these two. Back in 2022, Jack Catterall was a big outsider. You could have got him at over 6-1 just before the fight. Tonight, he's an odds-on favourite, but it is tight. with Josh Taylor. He's 6-5 and Catterall is 4-6. Now, I've heard plenty of pundits tipping up the former undisputed champion this week, but no one thinks he's anywhere near the 1-14 fav he was last time these pair met. Whichever way you go in, here's how it looks in terms of how it ends. Taylor is 9-4 to win on points and 9-2 to win by stoppage. Catterall is 17-10 to get the decision and 11-4 to finish it inside the distance. You'd have to think the Scotsman has got a lot of improvement in him from the first fight, whereas how much has his opponent got in addition to what we saw 2 years ago? You can back all sorts of grouped rounds and individual rounds, but I can't help think we get something similar again. I fancy another split decision. I'll let you pick which way. Taylor is 12-1 to win in that fashion, and Catterall is 15-2. Oh, and the draw is 14-1.
In the Zone on talkSPORT with William Hill. Get epic value all season with William Hill. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Do not give me a draw. I need conclusion tonight. I need to be able to see this evening the person that wins to get their hand raised at the end of it, whether that be on a decision or whether that be via some type of stoppage. We need some type of conclusion to this narrative because it's gone on too long, hasn't it, Spence?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we need a decisive winner, and we need it to go the right way as well. Like I said, last time I thought that Catterall, I don't know where you was at with this, George, but I thought Catterall won it by sort of 9-3. I thought it was very, very conclusive. I was up there at ringside, and I thought, yeah, the rounds were competitive, but there were knockdowns and points deductions and whatnot. But I thought Catterall was a clear winner, man. You know, for the undisputed, that's a bitter pill.
Yeah, I haven't watched it back recently where I've sat down and scored it. I do remember a lot of them rounds being close, and I can remember just the way people were talking, that they were so shocked that Catterall was doing so well that it is hard. Sometimes you think, well, if I was looking at this blind, like you listen to the American commentators who see stuff's totally different, and then are they just appreciating maybe someone who's forcing the fight, maybe stepping forward, and not appreciating, say, Catterall, who's sort of turning away, making a miss, and just popping back with single shots. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to go against you, Spencer, and say 9-3 was well out, but I had Catterall winning. I don't remember it being that wide, but I haven't seen it.
Valid point there, though. I think that was, and I think you were probably in this camp as well, Ad. So when you look at it and you go, it was the surprise of what Catterall had actually done, because we all thought he was an overwhelming favourite, Taylor, as did the bookies. And
you just heard there. He was a 14-1 on favourite, Josh Taylor, in a 2-horse race.
But George nailed it, as in saying, you know what, I think it was that element of, I can't believe this. He's actually winning this fight, isn't it? And then he's got him on the floor. You go, the rounds where you go, what may have been close, you're seeing it for Catterall because you can't believe what you're actually seeing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he was a pound-for-pound star at the time, right, Taylor?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, like, for example, let's talk about the heavyweights last week, right? So after 3 rounds, I had Usyk win the first 3 rounds. I look round and there's loads of people there who I really respect their opinion, and some had Fury 2-1 up, some had this one. And then those early rounds where they are kind of even, kind of tight, and it's like, which way have they gone? And they can at the end of the fight really paint a picture. Once Taylor gets dropped, you're like, oh, right. It was almost in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, this could be over at any point now. Yeah. And you can't help but lean towards that guy who's just dropped his opponent.
Sure.
But you have to be honest, and at the end of every round, start again, and then judge every round, individually. But it is tough. It is tough.
Yeah,
it is, especially when the output was kind of minimal as well in that fight. We're not talking about there's loads of action to kind of score. It wasn't the most attractive fight, was it? And there was the punch output was very. For you are kind of nitpicking a little bit. Do 2 of these outweigh 1 of these? You're looking for that clean, effective work. There's not a lot of work. There's a lot of holding, especially down the back end of the fight from Jack. There was a lot of holding down there as well, wasn't there? I'm not saying that it's an easy fight to score, because it isn't an easy fight to score. But being in the arena that night, I was absolutely gobsmacked that Jack Catterall did not have his hand raised, and he walked away as the undisputed champion. And then when you actually do the bit of looking into the way that we end up with the judges that ended up ringside and the promoter that was involved that was making other fights. There was loads of little bits from the outside. Now, I'm not saying that it was a conscious thing, but a subconscious thing with the way that all that fight was marketed. It was marketed as a Josh Taylor homecoming rather than as an undisputed fight. Jack Catterall's name's not on the ticket. All these types of things. Subliminally, as Ian John Lewis says on your podcast, people are human beings. Whether it's intentional or unintentional, you do take some of that information in, as Spencer was just alluding to there. Wow, this kid's doing miles better than I actually thought. Maybe he's winning. Or has he just shut the gap? Has he shut the gap or is he winning? You know what I mean? As George was saying, you've got to judge each phase individually. 12 individual fights. Who's won those 12 individual fights? You put your card in, job done, walk away from it. Like I said, I thought Jack Catterall was very unlucky that night.
Look, you would still come away, even if it narrowed. Say I go 9-3 and then you see it again and you're going 8-4 and then you're looking at it again, George, you go 7-5. Hold on a minute. It's getting a little bit closer here. But at no point do you see Taylor winning that fight. That's in my eyes anyway. No. Even if you close the gap on the rounds and you go, well, perhaps I go the other way.
He didn't win.
But it's like Ian John Lewis says to me that Catterall goes into survival mode and, in his opinion, throws the fight away in the last 4 rounds because he's sort of just seeing out the rounds, not doing enough. Now, some people are saying, no, I think he was doing that, but he still won those rounds.
Yeah, I was.
But as a fighter, no one tells you like what the judges are sitting ringside and how they score fights. You just don't know.
No.
And if Catterall had known that, then maybe and Jamie Moore in the corner wouldn't have been telling him. They might be saying, Joe, what, you're miles ahead, but let's be safe. Like, let's put it on him in these last 2 rounds. Like, win these last 2 rounds, clearly, and then we got no problems. So, you know, that's boxing. That's why it's so subjective.
Well, that's the frustrating thing about it. There isn't a unified scoring criteria. You boys brought it up on your podcast. You go on the WBC website, and they say, right, this is our scoring criteria. This is the WBA, and it's not completely different, but there's extra elements to it. Then you go on the WBO, and they've got extra elements to it. In the conversation that you had with Ian John Lewis, he was saying, if 2 fighters are in the ring, nobody lands a punch, but one's walking forward, you give it to the geezer that's walking forward. And I'm going, eh? We're looking for clean, effective work, surely, aren't we? That can't be the way.
There is no, like, you watch Olympic diving, and then they all give you the same score, don't they? And then you watch gymnastics. There's so many sports where, you know, there's independent judges, and they all sort of, I mean, I don't understand how they judge it, but they all seem to be within a decimal of each other.
Yeah.
Whereas scorecards just so wide, because you don't know what do you want.
Well, how can you get a guy that goes 9-3 one way, and then the other scorecard reads 9-3 the other way, and you go, you're meant to be professional judges. Like, how can you see it so differently? But it is subjective scoring, I suppose, isn't it?
And that was the point with the Ian John Lewis card, because he has scored that 8-4 in favour of Josh Taylor, that first fight. That's how he's come to the conclusion of his card. I agree with Spence. I had it 9-3. Now, I know his argument is against Victor Loughlin, who had it 1 round. So he had it 7-5 in favour of Taylor, didn't he? So he's talking about that 1 round swing. But in reality, and I kind of agree with him, there should have been questions over Victor Loughlin in that moment as well. The real swing is about 5 rounds. It's about a 5-round swing where the majority of people have seen it 9-3, 8-4 in favour of Jack Catterall, and he's put in the same card but for the opposing fighter. That's the real swing. It's not a 1-round swing. That's the real swing that's up for debate.
Yeah, well, obviously you're left to your own devices in terms of being a judge. There is no there's no rule book, is there? It's not like, okay, pressing the fight it beats sort of defensive making him miss. Like, do you get points for making a miss? Like, I mean, Mayweather for years did that and people celebrated him, but there's so many, like, American, you know, fans especially want you to press the fight and want you to land shots. Like,
but you know, like you say, like, if you're scoring, you should be scoring on landing shots, not scoring on aggression or scoring on defence. You go, what is that? By the way, I've just got to switch up here. Josh Taylor's just entered the ring. What a ring walk that geezer's just had. Unbelievable. Catterall was already in the ring, but he looks sensational. He looks good, you know, Taylor. He looks really good. He's up for it. Singing on the way to the ring as well. It's going to be interesting, this.
He's, what's he come into here? Jack Catterall's Walk to the Ring to Higher and Higher by Jackie Wilson. Classic track. Love a little bit of disco from the 1970s. Then Josh Taylor's come into a bit of cigarettes and alcohol mashed up with Bowen Slippy.
Nice.
Hey, mate, bit of Oasis
Nice.
and a bit of train spotting. You can't beat a bit of that, can you? Listen, before we continue this conversation, we're going to hear from Eddie Hearn, shall we? Because he's been talking to TalkSport this week, talking about this fight that we're going to watch along in a moment, and talking about British boxing's biggest rivalries.
Broch Groves, Bellew Cleverly, you've seen the likes of Brooke Khan.
Yes.
Quigg Frampton was a good example. Like, this is the first one where they actually want to attack each other on site. And people say, oh, he's talking it up again. Honestly, like, when these two come together face to face, they just want to grab each other around the throat. We've seen it in the build-up, in the press conferences. So now sometimes, yesterday was a little bit more chilled at the press conference because I think the coaches just say, look, save your energy. You're going to have a 12-round war on Saturday night, so be ready. But, the great thing about boxing, Gabby, and some people don't get it, is after the fight, and this is why people think that sometimes, it's a bit WWE. The respect's there. You saw it between Fury and Usyk last week. You can say what you want, but after the fact, after the battle, hands are shaken and the respect is there. So I don't, these guys say no, there won't be, but you will see it in Leeds. I think there'll always be a respect between fighters, but certainly this one is, the title of the fight is Hate Runs Deep. And it's fact, these guys don't like each other. Look, it helps sell the fight. Of course it does. It creates a narrative and people want to tune in and they'll do that Saturday night.
Did you love your British rivalry?
Yeah, I had two.
Mate, it just makes, from a fan point of view, they're absolutely captivating. They must be awesome to be in the middle of. Yeah,
well, and if they're genuine, like this one tonight is genuine, then you see right through it. I mean, Bellew Hay, I was always a bit like on the fence with that. Khan Brook sort of came, lots of spitting and spatting, but they fought right at the end of their careers. But this one, this is up there with, and it has sort of grown, hasn't it? They detest each other more so now than I reckon even from that final bell the last time they fought.
I mean,
it might go on beyond tonight as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, your rivalry brought boxing back to stadiums, didn't it? That's why that was sort of like, that's how big that was. And I remember being around that because I worked on both fights actually, so I was around both fight weeks, and I remember picking you to win the second one. Colfroch, by the way, didn't speak to me for over a year until his career had finished and he come into what we're doing now, come into the media and recognise what it was. I was like, wait, he took it so personal because I said George was winning. I said, look, the cracks are appearing and I think George wins the second one by knockout. And I looked at that and he never spoke to me. But yeah, what a rivalry that was, man. And that will go down in history. It really will. But yeah, it's good that you're good mates now.
Yeah, good mates now. We're 10 years on since Wembley, almost to the day. So
and the red bus.
And the red bus, yeah, that's maybe still going as
mega,
well.
Man. Listen, what one occasion that was. Listen, I've no doubt we'll wax lyrical about that again throughout the course of the night. Taylor and Catterall are ready to go at it for a second time. We're going to watch this along, so make sure you stick with us. The fight's going to get underway in a moment or two. We'll be back with you shortly here on talkSPORT.
Knockout Radio for your Saturday night fight night on talkSPORT, the home of boxing.
You listen to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall, Spencer Oliver and George Groves alongside me as Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall get underway in Leeds. We are watching along the fight this evening, so if you are consuming this, you've got it on your TV screen, no need to listen to the sound on the telly. Switch the sound on the telly off. Get the sound on talkSPORT for you as we watch along, not only on the radio, but also via the talkSPORT boxing YouTube channel. Both guys sizing up in that southpaw stance. Jack Catterall coming out nice and fast. Spence getting that jab out nice and quick, trying to establish the centre of the ring. But now Josh Taylor just taking a little bit more prominence in the centre of the ring and pushing Jack Catterall back on those ropes a touch.
Yeah, Taylor just trying to take control of this round. Catterall did start fast, actually. He started well, landed a couple of good left hands over the top as well. But like you say, Taylor now trying to push forward, but Catterall's happy boxing on that back foot. Good jab again there from Catterall.
Mate, I kind of needed this at the start of the fight, because from my recollections of being up in Glasgow the first time around, it was slow, it was tentative, it was a little bit standoffish. Are you going to go or am I going to go type of thing? Whereas the tactics this time around, especially from Jack, he comes straight out the gate, straight to the centre of the ring, established the jab, and fair play to Josh. He's responded to it. It started relatively nicely, this, George.
Yeah, no, it has. Catterall sort of pressing weight on the front foot.
Great shot.
He wants to wing that sort of out of southpaw stance, that big left hand over, and he's thrown it a few times.
Good jab there as well. He's found his range well, isn't he, in this first round, Catterall? That's for sure. And I think that Taylor's, you get opponents, Josh, George, that you get sort of like, they're like your bogeyman, aren't they? Where you just can't figure them out. It doesn't mean because you may have beaten someone that's beaten him.
Kryptonite,
it really is, and I think that Catterall is that guy for Taylor.
Well, southpaw beats southpaw, and so sometimes southpaws don't do well with southpaws. They haven't grown up fighting; they're always used to fighting other orthodox guys, and Catterall, from recollection of the last fight, his weight was on the back foot, and knowing that Taylor likes to press forward, and he was making him fall short by being so far back, whereas this time round, the start of this first round, his weight's on the front foot and he's winging in hard shots, and that's making sure that Taylor is switched on. He can't give away those free shots, certainly not in the first round.
That's the danger shot, isn't it? That left hand that he loops over the top. I think, was it the first fight, 8th round, was it? He dropped Taylor in the 8th round with that similar shot. That's the shot that looks the danger punch so far in this one. But that was another good round there from Catterall. I think he's just stole that round.
Yeah, listen, the jab came out nice and early with the jab. He landed some lovely overhand lefts, didn't he? Which were clean. And I think he's done enough there to maybe take that first round. But Josh Taylor's not miles off it. This is the beautiful thing of this fight. He's not miles off it. The feet are there. It's just a case of the timing of getting the range, isn't it? He just hasn't landed the eye-catching shots. A couple of nice jabs in there from Josh Taylor. He was just a beat off. It's going to be interesting to see now with the chat in the corner with Joe McNally how he comes out for the second, whether he just ups it another gear to see if he can get that range going, because you can't, in a fight like this, with the amount of narrative that has come into this fight, you do not want to be too far behind here. You don't want to be giving 2 and 3 and consecutive 4 rounds away, and then you're starting to have to chase the thing. It's important that he tries to get a foothold as early as he possibly can, Josh Taylor.
Absolutely. Listen, George, you know Josh Taylor very well. You know what sort of fighter he is, and you know the way that he thinks. I mean, how does he approach this fight, if he starts losing those first couple of rounds?
Well, Josh Taylor, to his credit, he's just been caught there.
Yeah, he did. He got caught with that left hand over the top again. It's dangerous, isn't it?
The timing's with Jack Catterall.
Yeah, the Catterall. I mean, Catterall's got authority on all his shots, especially that jab. Like when you get him getting your head knocked back with a jab, it's sickening because it doesn't allow you to set up and do anything else off it. And Taylor always wants to get to that mid to close range without getting hit on the way in, obviously, so that he can let his hands go. He is the sort of fighter who does take a little bit of a time to warm into a fight and always build within a fight. So he'll know that. It's a little bit of reassurance for him. I remember watching the Prograis fight and at halfway thinking, all right, he's not going to get this. And then he just bites down the gum shield and comes again and bossed that fight and won it in the second half. But you're right. He doesn't want to be, he don't want to be competitive, but 4-0 down after 4 rounds.
Sure.
It needs to give Jack Catterall something to think about, doesn't he? Because Jack seems to be quite comfortable at the range that he's keeping. He's landing that jab, not every single time, but he's landing it comfortably. And every now and again, he'll just pop one of them backhands just over the top, just to land a nice bit of clean, effective work.
He's got a very unorthodox style, Jack
very
Catterall.
unorthodox,
Very unorthodox.
yeah.
Like, he rolls the shoulder, doesn't he? But he's like, he stands on a funny sort of stance, and the
heads come together?
Yeah, badly come together. I think he might be... I think Josh Taylor's come off worse there, actually, because it hit Catterall on the top of the head. I don't know where... I think
there's been a big clash of heads. We're in the second round watching Taylor Catterall 2. Big clash of heads. Josh Taylor just reeled away. It's obviously hurt him, but it also seemed to... There's a grimace as well from Jack Catterall. They both reeled off and there was a little bit of a break in the action. They're back to it now, but it did seem like a bad clash of heads. Doesn't look like there's any claret. Doesn't look like anybody's cut in any way, shape or form, does it? As Taylor looks to back Catterall up into that red corner.
Again, the heads come together.
They are, because of the...
good left hand there from
Jack
Catterall, yeah.
But I kind of liked what Josh was doing there, and he's got to make it a little bit rough, hasn't he? He's got to turn this into a fight. He's got to try and disturb the rhythm of Jack Catterall as early as he possibly can to ask a different question.
I mean, George, what do you think on this one? Like, Taylor's trying to press the pace here. He's pushing forward. He sees, like, sort of trying to up the game. But for me, his timing just seems a little off. It's Catterall that is actually landing the cleaner shots. Again, there with a jab.
He's building into the fight, Taylor.
Yeah.
He will be happier, much more comfortable in range. He just needs to be successful, clinical, and then break out. Whereas Catterall is, he's happy to be a little bit more of a single punch sharpshooter.
Yeah.
He hides behind that shoulder and then he'll come back with a big shot. But then he wants to break away. He won't want to be fighting that Josh Taylor fight where he lets Taylor just keep creeping in, and then punching away.
We'll be back in a minute. You're listening to talkSPORT.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Fight Night with Adam Catterall on talkSPORT.
You listen to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Spencer Oliver and George Groves with me in studio as we are watching Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall into the third round, and another clash of heads right at the start of the third round. You made an observation there, Spence, where obviously these southpaw styles are just clashing at the moment because they're tripping over each other's front feet, and within a second of the third round beginning, their noggins came together once again.
Yeah, dangerously together as well. They're not just little headbutts, they're big headbutts.
Big
I'm amazed, actually, that neither man is cut at the moment. Josh Taylor has a big lump over the left side of his forehead, but he's having a good little spell here, Taylor. Catterall has just come back with a good shots as well.
He's forcing the fight now, is Josh, isn't he? It's quite obvious that in the corner they've had a chat there and said, listen, you're just falling short with some of your work. That range is being dictated a little bit more on the Catterall side. He's got to get them feet in a little bit closer and he's got to wing away. We've got to see them combinations, haven't we, George, from Josh Taylor? The combinations that made him famous. And again, the heads have come together.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the referee's interpreted in this. Like, at some point, one of these guys might be at fault and get a warning.
Well, in the first fight, they both were deducted points, weren't they? Because one was for holding, and I think one was for a head clash. I think there was definitely a point on each side deducted in that first fight, as well as the knockdown that Jack Catterall put on Josh Taylor.
But this is a better round for Josh Taylor.
Absolutely, I agree.
He's a lot more accurate. At times he's been guilty. He paused with the jab, and it's not quite quick enough, and he's very easy to counter when he comes in with that sort of easy to read double jab, and that would always suit Catterall. But off that, it's been a little bit sharper, and he's been really accurate with that straight left hand out of the southpaw stance.
Well, Adam, you was talking about, was this fight going to be rough? Was it going to be bullish? I think you've got your answer already, mate, haven't you?
Yes, it is.
I mean, 30
Heads,
seconds to
elbows, shots around the back of the head, everything's going into this one already within the first 9 minutes of this contest. I just hope that it does. I just hope that it cleans up every now and again and it becomes a little bit easier to see some of that clean work that everybody wants to see. I do think, though, that round number 3 is... and it's been slow. The first round, I think, was quite comfortable towards Jack Catterall. The second one was quite tight, but I think Catterall did enough to nick it. This one, Taylor has turned it into a fight. He's got right up nice and close, and he's letting some of those combinations go. Not everything's scoring, don't get me wrong, but that felt like that was the best round so far for Josh Taylor. I don't know how you gentlemen saw that.
Yep, totally agree with that. I think he tried to, he sort of turned the screw a little bit, didn't he? He recognised the first couple of rounds may have gone the other way, but they were very competitive as well. Again, subjective scoring, and I think that was a lot of the controversy of that first fight. But yeah, that third round, Josh Taylor definitely won that one. That was the most conclusive round for me, George, of the contest so far.
I think Josh Taylor's best round. Catterall landed some great shots there in the second half of the fight, so could be. I had it pretty close. I gave it to Taylor, but I wouldn't scream up either way. Sometimes it's hard to tell, unless you're sitting ringside and sort of experiencing what them shots feel like when they land. I always lean into the eye-catching power shots. They're the ones that score for me.
But you're looking for clean, effective. Effective is the key word, isn't it?
And so far, from what we're watching, that's Catterall who's landed the more eye-catching shots, and it's Taylor who's sort of bringing the pressure and maybe throwing more volume.
Yeah.
But every time you let your hands go, they leave your chin, and ultimately there's an opening there to be countered with.
Nice work there from
strong,
Catterall.
doesn't he, Catterall?
Yeah, it was a lovely little combination. Got through with a couple of good left hands there.
Little stat that's just thrown up on our TV there. Taylor's thrown the more shots, but Catterall's landed just slightly the more over the 3 phases that we've seen so far. We're into the fourth round. It's Adam Catterall, Spencer Oliver, and George Groves on talkSPORT, watching along to Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall 2. Messy, to say the least, through the first 9 minutes. Head clashes, I think we've had 3 so far through the first 3 rounds. Quite severe ones as well, where we've had a little bit of a pause in the action as those heads have come together. Southpaw stances, not just necessarily gelling too much in the first phases of the fight, but observing the two gentlemen, it was Jack Catterall early doors that got that range going, got that jab going, and started landing some lovely work from range on Josh Taylor, who's up on his toes, he's bouncing around, and he seems to have settled into it a little bit more now, looking to try and get Jack Catterall to bind on a couple of feints, of which he didn't do just then, and landed a lovely little left backhand right down the middle.
Would it be fair to say, is this a fair assessment to say that they've sort of taken off from where they left off? It's still a competitive fight, man, and it's one of those ones you're looking at and you're going, what do you go for here? What do you prefer, the jabs, the accuracy of Catterall, or the volume of punching and the aggression of Taylor? It's one of those. I mean, for me, Catterall doing better work again in this round. The jab is a key weapon for Catterall, George, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he sort of settled into his rhythm, his pace of the fight. Taylor can't be caught at that mid-range. He can't be stuttering because Catterall's throwing the longer shots more successfully. At a southpaw stance again, that long left hand just nearly landed on Taylor. Again, you see it again, and that as he pulls his head out to the right, throws that left hand over. He's not far away from Taylor at the moment, and they look like heavy shots. If one does land, it's going to feel the effect. But Taylor settling into the fight now as well, but hasn't settled into it with that same intensity. He's almost fell into Catterall's rhythm. feels like for me.
That's a great assessment. That's what it is Catterall has the rhythm in this fight so far, and that's why he might be just nicking these rounds. Again, double jab, accuracy, left hand goes in as well. Good work here from Catterall.
Yeah, and just as we were talking there, Jack Catterall, who was boxing quite a lot of that round on the outside, along the ropes, on the back foot, doing what George was saying a little earlier on, that sniper style, just one shot here, one shot there, but very clean, very effective, doing what he was supposed to be doing. But as that round was coming to a conclusion, he just started moving slightly more forward, engaging a little bit more and letting the combinations go. I thought he looked really good in round number 4 there, Jack Catterall. It's going to be interesting to see what response we get coming into round 5 from Josh Taylor. It's captivating. It really is. You can't take your eyes off it.
Well, I think the frustration kicks in a little bit for Josh Taylor with it, when he boxed Jack Catterall in the first fight, and maybe in this second fight it will do the same thing as well, because I think Taylor is the one trying to force the pace. He's the one, and as George says, he's sort of like he got a jerky, like sort of lead hand, but that's his undoing in this fight, because there's a nice rhythm about Jack Catterall, and he's landing that left hand over the top of that, over the shot, and going round the side of his backhand as well. So yeah, I think for Taylor it's going to be a case of forcing the fight, because he gets picked off on the outside, so he needs to take the initiative. He needs to set the pace and break that rhythm really of Catterall.
He's looking really good, is Jack Catterall at the moment, isn't he? I mean,
started well again there.
The jabs, and he's doubling it up, he's trebling it up, and now he's letting backhands go. He just looks really comfortable, George, at this range, and he seems to be seeing everything that's coming his way.
Well, he's definitely the stronger man at this point as well. His punches are having far more of an effect on Taylor than Taylor's are having on Catterall, and he's drifting into range. Taylor, he's trying to come in behind that sort of that double jab. That jab was better, had a little bit more authority on it, but he just needs to change his head height, or change the angle of his head on his way in, Taylor. And then once he's inside, then he's far more dangerous, because Catterall doesn't necessarily want to punch with him in the pocket. He'll then be thinking about creating distance, maybe one short, sharp shot and then breaking out. But at this range, that's not working for him, yeah. And now
a lovely 1-2 there as well.
Looked like he hurt him with that backhand.
He has hurt him. He's changed the pattern of the fight here. He's landed a good left hand round, and Taylor now on the back foot and covering up. This is a good spell, this from Catterall.
This has been a very, very good round for Jack Catterall. We're in the 5th round. You're listening to talkSPORT's Fight Night. Adam Catterall, Spencer Oliver and George Groves along with you. We are live on the talkSPORT YouTube channel, the boxing YouTube channel right now, where you can watch along with us as we're getting stuck into this particular fight. So if you're watching the fight and you just want to get our thought processes as the fight's playing out, you're more than welcome to go to our YouTube channel. But in this 5th round, some fantastic work from Jack Catterall. Early doors, 1s, 2s, 3s, tripling up that jab was absolutely sensational. But then he just went through the gears in that mid stage there, landing some lovely shots. But Josh Taylor, fair play to him, looking like he got stung earlier on, and I think he was at one point, has responded relatively well. He's just put the foot down a little bit and started letting his own hands go, hasn't he?
Well, that's what he needs to do. He needs to be first to the punch, because George highlighted it just now, that he gets into a rhythm, Catterall, and it's difficult to break. He flicks that jab. He carries it sort of low, down by his waist, in between his waist and his chest, and he flicks it up. And Josh Taylor, who holds that lead hand out quite far, is getting caught. He's going through the middle of the guard, and he's landing the shot. Taylor needs to really make this ugly, if I'm honest. He needs to be first off with the shot, and he has to work hard. Triple jab there from Catterall again. Every one of them, 1, 2, 3, all landed.
Yeah. He's looked, listen, for a large percentage of this 5th round, Jack Catterall, he's looked very, very good. And
big left hand again, body shot when he hurt him, that body shot.
He's got him going, and they're back up into the ropes just as this round is coming to a conclusion. In fact, it has concluded now. Probably the most conclusive round of the fight so far. Round number 5, Jack Catterall, huge round for him. Some wonderful, wonderful work.
Big round there for Jack Catterall. He had a lot of success. The jab was setting up everything. He found the range with that. And George, big left hands through the middle as well. And a couple of them stung him. We're looking at it from the overhead view here. Did you see the leg stiffen there, George, when he went back and fell on the ropes? That was a delayed reaction after that left hand here. That shot there. That's a beauty. And you see the leg stiffen. Look.
Yeah, and Catterall goes to the body straight away, and that's just sickening, because as you're trying to process
The body shot really hurt him, yeah.
Did that shot on the chin hurt or not? Like, you're getting bang, bang downstairs. He's a little bit too easy to hit at the moment, isn't he, Taylor? For getting it right, he needs to get in his flow and then just take the sting out of these shots a little bit.
I think he started coming apart a little bit in that round there towards the end. I think it's a case here. He's really got to show some character here.
Listen,
Taylor.
I
mean, we
the
know
character will be there.
We
The
know he's
stones
got
will be there.
cojones. We know that.
He needs to hurt Jack Catterall is what he needs to do. And I know that he's trying his very best to stand in that fire and try and get off, but he just can't get off because he's getting picked up every single time. I mean, he's trying, isn't he? He's trying to get in range, is Josh. He's trying to shut that distance with his feet and he's trying to let his hands go. But every single time he does, he's getting jabbed. Double time, 3 time, and then backhands are coming through. The range control of Jack Catterall in his fight so far, especially in that 5th round, was absolutely exquisite. Really good stuff.
Yeah, it really was. And that's the difference between these two at the moment is who's controlling that space. And it is Catterall, isn't it? As Taylor now pushes forward, tries to pin him in the corners, but Catterall staying nice and cool again there, popping out the jab, double jab.
But that's what I mean. I mean, he is going into the fight. I mean, what I'm being told from our production team is that the instructions in the corner is that he has to put combinations together. And yes, I think we'd all agree with that. And he is shutting distance down. He is getting in close. He is getting into the ranges that he wants to fight Josh Taylor. But every single time he steps into that fire, he's getting burnt, and he's getting burnt relatively quickly. Jack Catterall is just, at the moment, too quick for him. He's far too quick for him, and he's stinging him every time he throws something, whether it be with the jab or whether it be with 1-2 combinations. But fair play to Josh, though. He is putting it on him in this round. I mean, heads have come together again.
Yeah, naughty that. And again, none of them seem to be cut, but it is bad. That's
the 4th time in the fight that the heads have come together in this fight.
It's brutal. I mean, how are you seeing this, George? Are you seeing that? You know, because I'm reading this fight pretty much like I did the first one, mate. I'm looking at the scorecards here. I've gone 5 rounds. After 5 rounds, I've got this 4-1 in favour of Taylor.
And he's getting pinged now.
And he's getting pinged again in this 6th. How do you see it, George?
Yeah, that's the same score I've got. You're thinking Catterall, has he got for Taylor to have a chance at this point? He needs to like blow up, and he does. He's not quite as aggressive. I don't know. It's hard to tell the way he's posturing. Is he feeling the pace a little bit? There's little breaks in between his shots.
Are you referring to Catterall now?
Sorry, yeah, Catterall. I mean, I think Catterall.
Oh, but big left hand again there, boys.
It's lovely work that. It's dead precise what he's doing. And he's doing it really, really cleverly, Jack Catterall here. I think he's conscious of what are the judges seeing? What do they remember? Right, start of the round, bang, he comes out, and then he reverts to probably a minute 30 of single shot stuff. And then he attempts to put the gas on. But having said that, though, Josh Taylor just put the gas on in the final stages of this phase. Is it enough to steal the round? I don't know if it was. Listen, it was far more competitive than round number 5. There's no doubt about that. And Josh Taylor is absolutely trying to whiz the kitchen sink at this thing to try and shut the gap and try and get a grip in some way, shape or form. But the cleaner, effective work, that's the phrase I keep coming back to, is the work of Jack Catterall.
Do you know where I'm falling into this space again? I don't know if you two feel the same way. I'm now looking at this going, well, that was a closer round.
It was.
But what I'm doing is I'm looking now to score a round so I can give it to Josh. No, what I'm saying is I'm falling into that category where I'm looking at it and I go, after 6 rounds, I could quite easily be 5-1 up here for me.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. If you're currently 5-1 up Jack Catterall at 6 completed rounds, I don't think you're far wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's competitive rounds within this. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But the clean stuff, that's what we're looking for, gents, aren't we? We're looking for the clean stuff, the scoring stuff, the stuff that's landing. It's coming from Jack Catterall. Josh is trying, but look at that. He gets into that range and then all of a sudden he gets picked off. It really is beautiful stuff from Jack Catterall.
Yeah, he still looks a bit lost, Josh Taylor. And what he's doing isn't working, and we haven't seen him change it up at all. If anything, all he can do is just try and do what he's doing more. Try and just throw more punches, but Catterall's got his timing in. He's had his rhythm in from maybe the end of round 2.
Yeah, he's done landed a lovely 1-2 again there. George, am I right in what I'm saying here, mate? Is that it sort of underlines, confirms what I thought all along, whereas I go, at 140, he has not got the same snap anymore. And I think that it's not a case of, it's been a long, hard career or whatever. I really do believe that he has a bigger fight with the Scales than the one he has on the night. I mean, you know him well.
I haven't spent any time with Josh Taylor for 5 years, so
but
who
what
knows?
I'm saying is, do you think that he was huge for the weight?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to take anything away from Jack Catterall.
No, exactly.
I think Jack Catterall's fighting the fight that he needs to fight. He's prepared properly and he's executing his plan brilliantly. And he does look like a stronger athlete in there tonight. And whether that's anything to do with Scales or not, it doesn't matter. It's what it is. What it is. But if you're going to fight this way, the way Catterall's fighting, even though he's throwing less shots, he's more explosive with it. It's just as tiring, if not more tiring.
Yeah.
So it's up to him to have the conditioning to see this through in this second half of the fight.
Listen, he's so precise at the moment, Jack Catterall, and this is a little bit of a slower round compared to what we've seen in the previous 2. And Josh Taylor is getting some of that work off. He's attempting to try and shut that gap and let his hands go when he gets there. And I just saw a fantastic backhand from Josh Taylor land on the whiskers of Jack Catterall, but it was answered with 2 or 3, and he's going through the gears in this round once again. Jack Catterall, who is absolutely feeling himself in this fight.
Taylor's right eye is swelling up quite badly now, guys, as well. I'm not sure if that's from the accumulation of punches from that jab or whether it is from that head clash early on in the fight.
Yeah, just in case you are just tuning into talkSPORT, you are listening to Fight Night. We are currently watching everything that's coming out of the main event from Leeds, where Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall are going at it for a second time. You know about the controversy from the first fight. These boys are settling the score tonight. But as it stands right now, Jack Catterall at the halfway point on our unofficial scorecards is having his own wicked way as they stand in the centre of the ring as the 7th round concludes. We'll be back with you very, very shortly on talkSPORT.
Fight Night with Adam Catterall on talkSPORT, the home of boxing.
You listen to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall, Spencer Oliver, and former WBA world champion George Groves with me in the studio, watching along Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall. We're into the 8th round in the main event in Leeds right now. These two guys with the score to settle, as they are absolutely leathering lumps out of each other in this 8th round. The tale so far, and again, all this is unofficial. This is just what we're currently seeing right now. Jack Catterall got into that flow state nice and early and has taken a large percentage of the first 7 rounds. He's most certainly up on our cards anyway. Where the judges are seeing this right now, we do not know, but I think it would be quite difficult to be scoring this in any other way. Clean, effective work from Jack Catterall, but you've got to take your hat off to Josh Taylor, because even though on our cards he's currently being outboxed, he keeps running into that fire and trying to let those hands go, and he is at certain points having moments of success, but then he just... He takes one on the back and it just changes the momentum of the moment.
It's the consistency of Jack Catterall that's winning the fight because, yeah, you're right in what you say. Like, Taylor is having his moments. He's trying to force the pace. He's throwing those body shots. He's just trying to break the rhythm and the consistency, really, of Catterall. But he's the one stealing it because he's just like peppering away the whole time and just landing. Like, he's got the timing well. He's landing that lead shot. But Taylor trying to force forward here.
Well, he starts most rounds, Catterall, really effective with his jab.
Yeah.
The jab just pierces through Taylor's guard. He's got no defence for it. And it could be here where the second half of the round is where Taylor almost looks like he's coming back into it. Is Catterall feeling the pace? And he's still landing quality shots, but Taylor's having much more success, and sometimes they can be the second half of the round is where the judges see. But that's great work from Catterall there, head and body again.
Yeah. It's odd because in this particular round, I'm sat there watching and thinking, right, Josh has actually got a foothold in this, and he's starting to let his hands go, and he's cracking the body, and then he'll let some stuff go upstairs. And as you've just said there, George, you think to yourself, is Jack slowing down? And then all of a sudden, it'll just be rat-a-tat-tat, and it'll be very, very precise with what Jack's doing there. I thought Josh did really, really well.
Josh won that round for me.
I thought he did really, really well in that round. But there was moments again that did catch the eye from Jack Catterall. Listen, like I said, this is all unofficial scoring as we're standing right now. But Catterall is up on our three judges in the studio right now. It'd be interesting to know how you're scoring it. If you're watching along on our YouTube channel, the comment section is up, and do get stuck into it. You can put your unofficial scorecard through 8 rounds as it stands right now. 4 to go in this contest, which sadly doesn't have a world title on it, but it kind of is the title of each other, given the narrative of these two gentlemen and what happened a couple of years ago. Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall going at it for a second time. Main event in Leeds. You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall, Spencer Oliver and George Groves alongside me. Can Taylor do anything different at this stage? I mean, he's trying. He's getting into range. He's just got to keep letting them hands go, hasn't he?
Well, yeah, if he can land something heavy and then sort of switch a little bit more momentum in his favour, but he is pressing. He's having a little bit more success. I mean, I thought Catterall still won the last round on the cleaner shots, especially like here in his first 30 seconds. He's landed that jab and it just pays dividends because then he can throw them, those loopy straight shots off of that. Because he pulls his head out to the right and he wings that left hand over there.
Work
from Jack Catterall. Absolutely beautiful work. And Josh just stood upright and took a lot of that. It took a lot of that clean.
George is right in what he says. It's the volume of punches, the consistency of Catterall that is winning in the rounds. Because Taylor's having his moments, but it's just a 1, 2, 3, 4 followed up by the left cross through the middle, and it's the consistency, George, isn't it? The volume of punches he's throwing.
Yeah. I mean, he's not far away with that left hand.
He's just skimming the whiskers there,
pulls his head out into safety, pulls it out to the right, and then
lets it go over the top.
Yeah, and even then, that one landed. It's about. I mean, he's got a great chin, Taylor. The bounce off him.
He's looking very marked up now as well. That head's swollen on that right side of his face. The eyes shutting up a little bit as well. So he's starting to show signs in there now that he's been in a grueling fight, and we're still a quarter of the fight left here.
Yeah, listen, Jack Catterall has been precise with a lot of the work that he has put out. There's been a couple of head clashes in this contest as well. We don't know whether they have obviously had some toll. But every single time...
Good work again, look at that.
It's fantastic work from Jack Catterall in response to great work from Josh Taylor. Taylor lands something, and then you can just see his tail go up a touch. He's like, I've hurt him there. Right, let's get after him. And he's trying to put his foot on him and suffocate him. But the minute he goes in for the second kill, Jack Catterall's like going, I'm not hurt, mate. Bang, bang, bang. And away it goes. And he has the response for him every single time. That must be incredibly disheartening for Josh Taylor when he thinks he's got his man going.
very frustrating for him, because he's like trying to break that rhythm, break that mould. He landed a good right hook there.
Very good shot.
Did he hit him there?
He might have
got
him. Jack Catterall just looking for the first
a little bit
time
stunned there, yeah.
That maybe he felt that right cross there. Maybe that could be something for Josh Taylor to build upon as the ref just steps in to separate them.
Look at the response there from Catterall.
The both of them just slugging it out. Fantastic work as the round comes to a conclusion. Listen,
do you see the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the trying to convince the judging.
The bravado.
The bravado, yeah.
I'm the man.
I'm lifting the hands up. You go, yeah, I thought you lost the round, mate.
You're referring Josh Taylor, who
Absolutely.
raised his hand at the end of that phase, the ninth phase, just to maybe show the judges that he believes that he won it, and maybe they look up and go, yeah, I think you did, mate. I think you did. I think you can get a 10-9 there. Listen, the difficult thing with every single one of these rounds is that Taylor, within every single round, has a split moment. He has a moment where he's doing something, but as I said there, just in that particular round, it looked like he hurt Jack at one point.
Yeah.
And then just as he goes in for the kill, he shuts the distance, he's in the fire, and then Jack rat-a-tat-tats 4 or 5 off. So it kind of nullifies the work that he's just done.
Jack done enough in that round for me to win it. Like you say, they're very competitive rounds, but I think that the more quantity of the round, I think the better work is being done by Catterall.
Catterall's finishing the exchanges a lot of the time, which if you're the last man to land the shot in the combination, that's the one that the judges see. It's almost like you've owned that exchange. And a lot of the time, it's just a jab, but it's a jab that's knocking Josh Taylor's head back.
Yeah.
And I think they're the eye-catching shots. We saw it in that sort of that clip at the end of the round. He went jab, jab, then he followed up with the body, the hook, and then finished the game with the jab.
I think he's starting the round well, isn't he, Catterall? Like, he's eye-catching at the beginning of the round and at the end of the rounds.
Yeah.
Like you say, Jules, when a judge is there and he's going, don't know what way to go here, that last 10, 15 seconds of the round can be the decisive factor.
I'll tell you what is super impressive from my point of view, and George, you used to do this incredibly well when you were fighting. That jab, right, he doesn't put it in the same place every single time, Jack Catterall. He'll throw it downstairs to the belly button. He'll throw it to the heart. He'll throw it to the throat. He'll throw it to the head. He'll throw it to the shoulder. He throws it in so many different places. So Josh Taylor's like, what's he setting up here? What's he trying to do? It's been for tonight. It's been such an effective weapon for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is like lazy, boxing fans and boxers that will talk about jab being like a singular thing, but of course you can add, direction, hand position.
There you go. Just in that 2 split seconds there.
Yeah.
One went to the belly button, and then a split second later, one goes up to the throat.
It's that unpredictability,
Yeah,
isn't
and
it? He doesn't know where
Josh
it's
Taylor
coming
doesn't
from.
know what's happening.
Look, and you see Josh now is trying to turn the screw again. He's up the tempo again because that's telling you his body language that he feels it's slipping away from him, because you saw him trying to go through the gears again. He feels that he's losing control of it. The consistency, like I said, Catterall is great.
It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out now down the stretch and what Josh Taylor does, because I think it's quite evident the noises that we're getting out of his corner are telling him, listen, you're getting in there, you're not letting your hands go in, and you're throwing a lot of this stuff away. I mean, that doubling those jabs up there, beautiful from Jack Catterall once again in that round. And he has to do something, does Josh Taylor. He has to do something in order to try and change the momentum of the fight. In some way, shape or form, he has to hurt Jack Catterall visibly.
Well, if that sort of language is coming out of his corner, that's the corner telling him, listen, mate.
Yeah, that's good corner work, though. That's what you need.
Absolutely.
You need that instruction right now.
You're losing this fight. You need to up it.
Yeah.
He's just there. You see him he's trying to set him, but Catterall won't sit still. Good left hand there but just a little shoulder roll again. Body shot switching to the
It's
body
better
as
from
well.
Taylor.
Yeah, it's better.
I think
he's cut it off well, and he's let his hands go on the inside a lot in this particular round. Has Jack slowed down for you, George, as you look at this?
I'm going to give this round to Taylor. I just think he hasn't been caught with any of the similar shots that he has done in the previous rounds, and
he's really trying to
He's
force
really
the
gone
pace,
for
though.
it,
Look,
yeah.
and again, he's just like...
Yeah, but I think that's warranted.
That's the word
I think
I'm looking for.
There you go.
That's kidology. Like, let the judges think, if they've got any doubt in their mind, I'm raising my glove, I'm doing it. A fighter does that. But that also tells you that he knows that he may be behind or he's desperately close at best.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, he's sort of like losing this one. I've got 2 rounds to go. I've got 4 rounds up to Jack Catterall.
I've got it 7-3. Is that what you've got it?
What have I got it? No, 6. 7-3. Yeah, 7-3. 7-3.
We're through 10 rounds. I've got 7-3.
Yeah,
Jack
7-3.
Catterall.
7-3, that's it.
Jack Catterall's favour. 2 to
Where
go.
are you at, George?
8-2.
So
Nice.
we're in and around.
Listen, we're not far away, are we? Like that, we must have it right that the right man's winning this fight, surely.
2 rounds to go. He needs to hurt him. Josh Taylor needs to hurt Jack Catterall if he's going to get something out of this fight. Few instructions there from the Jack Catterall corner saying that you just lost your timing a little bit. Okay, I think that's fair enough. I personally think he just slowed down a touch there. Maybe he was just taking a breath. Maybe just taking a little bit of a look before he comes into these championship rounds, because this is where it's key now. This is it, boys. How badly do you want it? We're going to find out.
Absolutely. Listen, it's I think for Taylor, he'll have it in his mind. He will be behind in this contest, so he's sort of got to roll the dice now. He's got to go for it a little bit, because you just tell by the body language of these two. Catterall now moving around the perimeter of the ring, but he's on his bike now, so he must feel that he's in a handy lead because he's not he's gone for the safety option. You know, the safety first option. He's trying to stay out of trouble, and he's just trying to nick these rounds now, as opposed to rolling the dice and going for it. So you see more of a sense of urgency from Taylor here than Catterall.
Good jab, though. Good range control from Jack Catterall. He really does have to go for it, though, Josh Taylor, because, like I said, we all know the first fight, the way that all played out, and okay, he got the nod on that particular occasion, but he's got to just keep running into this fire and let those hands go and hope that there is some... In my opinion, he needs to drop him.
Yeah, well, let's not pretend that the judges ringside, I haven't got their names down now, are not aware of what went on the first time.
Of course.
The hype of this one. And if the rounds are close, they're probably subconsciously leading towards Catterall, because they don't want it to happen again where there's a big scream up and stink up. I mean, I got it 8-2. You guys got it 7-3.
Yeah.
If there's a couple of swing rounds in that, then...
Oh,
big shot from Jack Catterall.
He's in trouble there, Taylor.
Big shot from Jack Catterall. And now Jack Catterall looking to try and go through the gears as both men fall into the neutral corner. Jack Catterall.
I'll tell you what, he's in
Josh
trouble
Taylor.
here, mate. He's in desperate trouble, Taylor. His legs have gone beneath him.
He was caught with a massive shot on an exchange there. The back in the centre of the ring. Jack Catterall not jumping on him. He tried to jump on him and look for the finish, but then they fell into each other. It wasn't classed as a knockdown, but it was a heck of a shot that absolutely just stiffened the legs for a split moment there from Jack Catterall. We're into the 11th round.
Oh, gain the left hand, and his legs are stiffened again there.
Jack Catterall just looking to rubber stamp a performance that he's put together here through, like I said, we're into 30 seconds remaining of the 11th round on this watch along. We are on the talkSPORT boxing YouTube channel right now. If you want to go and check it out, if you are already watching this fight and you're looking for maybe a fight companion, we're in the studio. I'm Adam Catterall, Spencer Oliver and George Groves here, just casting our eye over everything that's going on in this main event in Leeds as this 11th round comes to a conclusion. But the most significant moment, without any shadow of a doubt, of this 11th round was some fantastic work from Jack Catterall a moment or two ago, where he looked like he had Josh Taylor in an awful lot of bother.
Yeah.
1 round to go, mate.
Yeah, listen, he needs a knockout. There's no two ways about that, Josh Taylor, and I think that he knows that. He's coming forward, just watching it on our monitors there, that left hand straight down the pipe. Taylor was in desperate trouble. Done well, actually. Showed good powers of recovery to get through that. And even at the end of that round where Taylor was pushing forward, don't know if you boys recognise this, but he was pushing forward, but the legs still looked gone.
Yeah.
It was just a sign of desperation, really, and I think that Catterall's done a smart thing here, Jules, by where he's now moving around and he's making Taylor chase him. He's walking on to the shots now, because, as you all know as a fighter, Jules, when you do that and you go, like, a fighter's got, like, he's that desperate and the game plan goes and you think, right, I've got to go for it now, you do make mistakes, and you know, because you take chances. Take chances, make mistakes.
Yeah, well, Catterall out of southpaw stance, say, pulling out to the right, winging that left hand in. He hasn't been that far away all night long. Sometimes it's landed, sometimes it hasn't. But he looked like if he lands one of those, he's going to land it full force, going to have that effect, and he got that in that last round.
I bet your social media's fun this evening. Everybody's scoring this fight as it's going along with their own thought process as we enter the final phase.
What's the general feeling on there, by the way? Where are people going?
Well, I'm not necessarily reading too much on the.
Just read a couple, mate. Read a couple. Give us a little update.
Well, a few people are saying a lot of Taylor's work's been blocked, missed the target. It's going to be interesting, the perception of the activity, because as we were alluding to before, you've got one guy here who has been incredibly accurate as a sniper, and every single time he throws those jabs out, they seem to land. Clean, effective work coming from Jack Catterall. But Josh Taylor has thrown a lot of stuff, hasn't he? The work rate, I argue this all the time. Listen, you can throw as many punches if you want. If they're not landing, then they're not scoring. It really is that simple as far as I'm concerned when scoring a fight. And at the moment, I've got Jack Catterall quite comfortably up as we enter this final round. Josh Taylor needs to do something quite spectacular if he's going to turn this fight on its head in Leeds.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I think that, I've got Catterall very comfortably in front here. Taylor needs to knock out for me with 1 minute 30 left of this final round. And again, good work. And I tell you what, Taylor's hurt again here, guys.
I tell you what, I think Jack Catterall's been absolutely fantastic this evening. The first fight, listen, it was a bit of a stinker, wasn't it? Let's be dead straight. There wasn't too much action there. The punch output was very, very low. There was a lot of clinching, a lot of holding, especially down the back end of this fight. Whereas this, there's been a lot of action. There's not been too much holding. Yeah, there was messy moments early doors when the heads were coming together and they were having a little bit of a clash of that front foot style coming from the southpaws. I know there's no sound and we can't really necessarily feel the atmosphere of what's going on in Leeds, but I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I've been absolutely locked into it.
It's been a great fight. Great fight.
It's going to be interesting to see what these guys read out in 30 seconds from now, but that's great work again from Jack Catterall. Wasn't it? Great work again from Jack Catterall. But you can't fault the heart, the determination from Josh Taylor because he just keeps running into the fire. He's trying to stand in that range where he can let his hands go, but Jack Catterall's having none of it. Just keeps moving, and then as he moves, lets a lovely little 1-2 go. 10 seconds remaining.
Again, big uppercut. Both guys trading right on the bell here, as you would expect.
It's a good shot from both men. Both men landing good shots there as the fight comes to a conclusion. They both raise their hands. There's a little bit of kidology. There's a little bit of kidology going on there.
Josh Taylor goes on the shoulders of his trainer there. Yep, there's a lot of kidology. George, I mean,
what do you reckon, boys?
Where are you at?
I gave Taylor that last round. I thought he won that last round. I mean, there was a couple. There was Catterall. He might land the best shot in the round, but I think it wasn't enough for it to go his way. I think, and then this is a tough one. I mean, I've got it once. What would that be? 117.
I've got it 8-4.
111.
Yeah, I've got it 8-4. I've got it 116, 112. That's where at the moment. What have you got? You've got 118.
No, 117,
111.
111.
Okay.
But
yeah, I've got exactly the same.
But there might be one swing round in there.
117, 111 for me. That's very conclusive. Look, George, even if we go, there's 2 swing rounds in there. He's still one winner, right? In my eyes. And we watched that without any sound, so we were not being swayed by
atmosphere.
Anything.
I mean, some clean work there from Jack Catterall. Yeah, listen. He was great tonight. He was absolutely fantastic. He got into that rhythm early doors, did Jack Catterall. And don't get me wrong, Josh Taylor absolutely had moments within rounds there, and you can't discredit the heart, the guts, the determination, because at certain points he was getting pinged. He was receiving a lot of that clean, effective work coming back his way, but he just kept going into the fire and trying to get his stuff off. And he was effective. There's no doubt about that. There was moments where you thought to yourself, hang on a minute, he's going to turn this, and then he'd just be counter-actioned by Jack Catterall, who I just thought was sharper. That's it. He was just sharper on the night.
We're looking at the slow-mo monitors on our TVs, aren't we? And you're watching the accuracy of the shots that Catterall throws there as I'm speaking. You've got Josh Taylor walking around the ring, telling everyone he thinks he's won this one. Catterall's raised his hands as well. I think we're only moments away as David Diamante is just getting the scorecards together. This is going to be interesting, this one. It really is, but...
This is going to be horrible again, mate.
Oh,
This
it can't
is
be.
gonna be
It
horrible.
can't be.
Listen, the back end of the fight, I have literally flip-flopped every single round from, I think, 8 or 9. It's gone one way, then the other, then the other way, then the other, then the other way.
What's the odds on a draw again?
I think they had 16-1, didn't they, in the pre-fight with Lee Phelps? Our production team's going to give you...
That was too conclusive, mate. That was too one-sided.
Well, we're going to find out now,
it was
aren't we?
competitive, but the rounds were going to...
We're going to find out now. There's a few scorecards coming in. There's a few people that are respecting the game that are saying 115, 113 in favour of Jack Catterall. So we're going to find out now from these judges. I've got it 116, 112 on this card as well to Jack Catterall. He's got his hand raised. Have we got a split decision? I think we might have a split because there's a bit of a pause.
Now, I think we've got a wide, unanimous decision.
I will get you these scorecards in a minute. Hopefully our production team are going to give me something.
He's got it.
Jack Catterall has his hand raised. He's the one that is celebrating right now. I just want to get the official result. Can I get the result, please? Let me get the scorecards on that. I'm being told that it is a unanimous points decision victory in favour of Jack Catterall. I'm just trying to get you the official scores from our team, which isn't coming through to the studio as it stands right now. But I'm being told by the social media reaction that the scorecards are a little bit of a joke. So I'm looking forward to hopefully getting the scores here once these come through.
I think that means the scorecards will have been wide. Which I think we all had it quite wide, to be fair, didn't we, on the scorecards? 117, 111, was it?
Yeah, there's a few people, like I say, on social media saying exactly the same things that you boys are saying there. A lot of people agreeing with the victory. Have we got a score, boys, or what? Are we getting a score through? They've read the score. Have they not read the score out? They've not read the score out on the TV. They've just... we're just trying to keep our eyes on the pictures. It's quite evident that Jack Catterall has won this fight. He's got his hand raised. We're just waiting for the three scorecards to come our way. There is a 117, 111. I wonder which way that's gone, though.
Well, it was unanimous, wasn't it? So it's got to have gone to Catterall.
Well, I haven't had it confirmed that it is unanimous.
Well, mine was 117, 111.
Let's hopefully... Have we got it yet, boys, or what? How long's it taking to get this score? Have we not got the TV screens on in there? I'll tell you what, anyway. We'll get you that in a moment or two. Make sure you stick with us. Have we got it now? On the screen. All right, we've got a 117, 111. That's on two cards, and then we've got a 116, 113. So it is a unanimous points decision. 117, 111, 117, 111, and 116, 113. So one judge, I think, has given a 10-10 in that 116, 113. I'm just trying to figure out how they've come to that conclusion. I've got it 116, 112, 8-4 in favour of Jack Catterall. Listen, the right guy has his hand raised there. A competitive fight, especially down the back end of that. But the man that got into the rhythm the earliest in that fight was Jack Catterall. Stick with us on talkSPORT. We will pick the bones out of everything in a moment or two.
Bob and weave your way through 3 hours of knockout radio. Fight Night on talkSPORT, the home of boxing.
Wow. Listen, you listen to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Spencer Oliver and George Groves are alongside us. We're just in a unanimous points decision victory in favour of Jack Catterall. 117, 111 on 2 cards. 116, 113 on one of the other cards. Jack Catterall having his hand raised. I'm just having a quick nosy on social media, and there is a little bit of a reaction to those scorecards from people that have been watching the fight at home, and they've concluded that they felt the fight was close. Some have concluded the right man won. Josh Taylor obviously aggrieved that he hasn't had his hand raised, and listen, he's well within those rights. But Bob Arum, the Hall of Fame promoter, top ranked Supremo, has just taken the microphone off the presenter who is doing the in-ring interviews. He's taken the microphone off him, addressed the crowd, said that the scoring was absolutely atrocious and that he would never bring an American fighter to be judged in front of British Boxing Border Control officials because they've got it so drastically wrong. Listen, some of those rounds were close. Some of those rounds were absolutely super competitive. Early doors, it was ugly. There's plenty of head clashes in there as well. And Josh Taylor's wearing some of those head clashes, I think, on his face from the early parts of the fight. But listen, in my opinion, watching that fight, Jack Catterall won that.
It wasn't a close fight.
It was clean.
It
was clean and
effective. It was a conclusive victory for... Yeah, it was competitive. I'll give him that. It was a great fight, a very good fight, and he showed the heart of a lion in there, Josh Taylor. And he showed why he's been champion, undisputed champion, pound for pound rankings and all of that stuff. He showed a lot of character in there, but Jack Catterall won the fight, that's for sure.
It's a mad sport, this, isn't it? This is a mad sport. What are you taking in there, George, from everything that you're catching up with friends that maybe are texting and social media and what have you? Jack Catterall gets it. We genuinely thought that was the case in the studio. Is that the response that you're getting from social media?
Yeah, well, I mean, my card is the same as the two wide judges, 117, 111. So
yeah, I'm with you.
It's. And a couple of them rounds were close, but it depends what you was after. And I feel Catterall had the snappier punches, and for a lot of it would win the first 45 seconds to a minute and then finish strong as well. And I wouldn't give Taylor the round just for trying to back Catterall up. If Catterall's like landing the heavier shots, I don't think there's any... I mean, I think everyone... There was always going to be a scream-up, I reckon, about the scores, whatever the scores may have been, because people are going to say it's impossible for...
But we said we wanted, we said we wanted a decisive winner before that first bell went, and we did get one there, to be fair. I mean, look, George, we've been in and around boxing for a long time, mate. You might be a round or two out one way or the other if a fight's close, but... we both come up with the same score. We weren't scoring the rounds the same, by the way. I think we went different on a couple of rounds. We both come up with 117, 111. So they're the close rounds you're talking about.
It's 9-3, and then if there's two, if people say I had 2 rounds in it, you're like, really? So that's what is that? That's like 7-5.
Yeah,
that's a close fight, surely.
Yeah.
If there's 2 rounds in it, then that just means 1 swing round and it's a draw.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like that to
Okay.
me.
No, definitely not.
Okay. Well, given the nature of the first one, given the nature of the second one, do we have a third one?
I'm not sure. I think Catterall was better in this fight than he was in the first fight. And I think Josh Taylor, the experience and the life is catching up with him a little bit. He doesn't look like the force that he used to.
I agree with that. I think that, look, I had that the same score, by the way, as the first fight. 9 rounds to 3. Yeah, I think you went there as well, didn't you?
I had 9-3 first one, but I had that one 8-4. But listen,
right, okay.
listen, like I said, I don't think
I have any arguments with Jack Catterall having his hand raised in that. I'm going to go back and watch that because I want to know what the outrage is from fight fans that have watched that, maybe with commentary. Have they been influenced in some way, shape or form from what people are seeing? I want you to hear what Bob Arum's just said, right? So we've got the recording of what Bob Arum has just addressed to the Leeds crowd. This is Top Rank Supremo Bob Arum just taking the microphone off the interview, a mid-interview with Jack Catterall, to address the crowd on scoring.
Like everybody else, those scorecards were a disgrace, were an absolute disgrace. And I really feel sorry for Josh. I thought he won the fight.
He's gone for it, hasn't he? I don't think they're a
Bob
disgrace.
always goes for it, to be fair. Yeah, I think that was probably emotions running high there with Bob. We know what he's like. He can be a little bit loose-lipped sometimes. Hasn't probably done himself any favours there, because I think that...
I've got the official scorecards here. Go. So let's have a look to see how these people have scored it in comparison to what we've seen in there. So we've got Kieran McCann, who's one of the judges there, and he scored the first 6 rounds all in favour of Jack Catterall. 7th round, he'd given it to Taylor. We've then got 8 and 9 in Catterall's favour. 10 to Taylor, 11 to Catterall and 10 to Taylor. Listen, that down the back end in the second half of the fight, it was flip-flopping. Taylor absolutely did make a fist of it. But the first half of the fight, the range control, the jab... In fact, I'm looking at Lee Every's card. The first 5 rounds he's given to Jack Catterall. The Mark Bates is judging in the first 6 rounds. He's given it 5-1 to Jack Catterall. I think that's kind of the noise that we were making in the studio, isn't it?
This is where I am. My first 6 rounds, I've given 1 to Jack. I've gone round 1, round 2, Jack Catterall.
Yeah.
Round 3, I've gone Josh Taylor. Round 4, 5, 6, I've gone Catterall.
Yeah.
Then I've gone 7 and 8, I've gone Josh Taylor. Then I've gone 9, 10, 11, 12, Catterall. That's why I saw it.
Listen, I'm looking at that card, and that's kind of the fight that... All those cards, I can justify a 117, 111, and I think I can justify the 116, 113, which has come back as well. I don't see the problem. The second half of the fight is maybe where people's minds are at, because it was competitive down the back end, where one's taking one, one's taking the other, one's taking one, one's taking the other. But the first 6 rounds, they were dominated by Jack Catterall.
Yeah, I gave Taylor the 3rd, but other than that,
Yeah,
there was one maybe that one round you had Spencer. There was one round that I gave Catterall, but it could have gone either way. That might have been 6 or 7, and then it was flip flopping for the last 4 rounds. I had Catterall, then Taylor, Catterall, Taylor finished in the 12th round. I gave him the 12th round. So ultimately the right man won, I think. So
I think we're having a debate about a scorecard or about a fight that was not particularly close. If I'm honest, it was. We know the winner. I think we're having a debate here about something. You go, I think there was only one winner in that fight. If you want to go 3 rounds, 2 rounds, whatever, there's only one winner.
I'm always fascinated though. If like Bob Arum's there, what did he see? He's not listening to commentary. He's sitting there watching, supporting his man, sure. But if he's got up in the ring and said something, then he must feel strongly.
Listen, I love listening to Bob Arum. Shall we hear from him again? This is what he's had to say in the aftermath of that fight.
I will never, ever allow an American fighter to come here with this British board scoring the fight. Those scores were ridiculous.
He's loving it, isn't he?
He's strong on that, mate. He's certainly strong on that. I mean, I agree with him about some of the judging. Sometimes we've seen some very strange decisions in recent times. That is for sure, and I think it is something that does need to be addressed when you're talking about, people's financial security for their families on the line and what they put on the line going in the ring. I think that the judging, there is something broken. There is flaws with the judging. Not tonight though. The right man won.
Yeah, the right man has won. And Jack Catterall, listen, this is not based on what happened in the first fight. The first fight was the first fight. It's done. It's gone, right? Tonight was a completely separate affair where Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall walked to the main event as equals, and you wanted it judged as equals. And the right man has come away with his hand raised. Jack Catterall did absolutely enough to win that contest, so congratulations to him. I'm sure that the debates are going to rage on over the next 24 to 48 hours as to were you saw the barometer of that victory? Was it as tight as, was it a draw? Was a Josh Taylor a win something that you saw? I've no doubt that you're going to get stuck in on social media. Please do so, because our YouTube channel is well and truly open for that debate. So get yourself stuck in, and I'm sure that conversation is going to rage on tomorrow and on Monday on The Breakfast Show. So make sure you come back and join us for that. Thank you very much for your company this evening, gentlemen. Top stuff, as always. Spencer, top stuff. George, top stuff. Are you back with Mr. Frotch in the morning for a review of all that?
Yeah.
You're
Why not? Hey, let's see what Mr. Frotch has got to say about it.
Cool, that's that. And then you're back with Mr. Jordan, no doubt, on Monday or Tuesday, doing the exact same thing,
I'm
throwing
not,
your
mate.
boots in.
I'm not, mate. I'm jumping on a plane. I'm jumping on a plane. I'm going to Saudi. We are going to be across all socials. We're going to be
beautiful,
flooding the station with up to date interviews, and we're going to get over there and see what's going on. Really looking forward to it. Actually, great card out there.
There you go. All right, so all that on the 5v5 Matchroom versus Queensbury coming out throughout the course of the week. Thank you very much for tuning in to us. We'll catch you next time.